Hello, people. Welcome to the Pedal Dive Podcast, episode 21. Can you believe it? 21 years old, 21 weeks old. Get on. Cheers, John. Today is a real special one. I'm made up with this. Everyone as a kid had an Etch-a-Sketch. We love it. Everyone loves the Etch-a-Sketch. And of course, an Etch-a-Sketch pedal. How can you not love that? I'm still blown away by this thing. As you can see, it's still not on my board because I use it when I'm like testing pedals and stuff. It's just, first of all, it's super technical and way too complex for me to figure out. So what I do is I twiddle on the knobs for half an hour. I get a sound and like, don't look at it, don't touch it, don't move. Anyway, I'm Hello Taylor Joe. My co-host today is
John Mulholland, Space Wolf. Greetings and salutations all. And I could follow up that knob twiddling comment with a lot of different jokes, but we'll leave it clean for now.
And our super guest is
how are we? I'm Mark from SoundLad Liverpool.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, apparently it's okay to have a beer, so cheers very much. It's hot today, like.
Do you know what? I'm feeling like I'm the only boring one with a cup of coffee.
Is it a nice coffee though, Joe?
No, mate, it's cold now because I was running around trying to sort my internet out. So it might as well be.
If you're sat there with like, oh, I've got some Peruvian, like, you know, something, and I've spent like 2 hours decanting it or whatever, I'm like, mate, you have your coffee, you know. But if that's instant, mate, I'm severely disappointed.
No, I've got this machine, mate. It does the grinding of the beans and all that. So I love coffee, and my wife bought me this machine, and I was like, it's amazing. I'm making coffees all the time. And then I Googled how to use it, and it showed me the bloody price of the thing, and nearly had a heart attack. What are you doing paying that for a coffee machine? Like, fucking hell.
To be fair, Joe, you know, you can't complain about the coffee machine when you've got secret guitars here and there.
Hey, none of them are a secret now, mate. She knows about them all.
Well, you know about the coffee machine now too, so it's all out in the open.
The thing is, I stay up all night making pedals, so I need something. And now that I'm in the Navy, it can't be something stronger, so it's got to be coffee, you know what I mean?
Anything stronger than caffeine, man, it just does me too wrong anyway. So,
I've got a lab to run in the morning. I've got to get up in the morning and run a lab. So I'm only on like a couple of beers. You know, I'm not going to go mad. I'm not going to be saying like, "Who's on for shots, boys? Come on!" It's none of that. Like, nice chilled.
You sure you haven't spent time in the Navy?
I've spent enough time with the squaddies. Like, I don't know about the Navy. I've never bumped into Navy lads. I don't know what the temperament is, but spent a lot of time with squaddies. Like, and then there's a bit of this and that. But normally, if there's enough this and that, it means they're about the same, and they're just picking, hairs or whatever.
I love the to and fro with Forpy. He's like so the thing is, he was like a major in the army. He was just, you know, that's like an officer and a gentleman. But he's bomb disposal expert. He's got an MB. He's got all it. He's harder than a coffin nail. And I'm just the chief, but I give him so much shit.
Of course,
you got to, haven't
you? For God and country, mate. Yeah, of course.
That's how you know you're a true mate, when you're getting ribbed by him.
Do you know what? Another thing is, what a weekend for us to be podcasting on. 80th anniversary weekend. I haven't done any posts for this. I feel like it was kind of cheesy, you know, to post something like, you know, about Victory Day or whatever, that sort of thing. I feel like pedals are separate, you know. What do you reckon? Are you one for putting in like historical or political things into your pedal builds?
Me?
Yeah.
I try and stay away from it all, you know, because it's just like there's no pleasing everybody, and when you're in a business, you're in the business of pleasing as many people as possible. And what was it like? Michael Jordan said, Republicans buy trainers too, so he kind of stayed out of it as well, you know. And I think that's probably the best policy, is just to, you know, keep it. I haven't even declared my colours, mate. Like, you know, people ask me all the time, "You're blue or red?" And I say, I'm not. Well, I'm not saying anything.
I'm definitely in red. I like winning.
Oh yeah.
Just saying, mate. So my 18-year-old supports Tranmere. He'll probably be watching this, Oliver, if you're watching Tuesday.
Oh, good lad.
He supports Tranmere because his stepdad supports Tranmere. And throughout and growing up, I'm like, you can support whoever you like, mate. You're just not Man United. Liverpool, Everton. He's flipped between the two of them, you know. When
the house divided.
He's settled on Tranmere. We had a similar. Yeah, well, as long as if he goes to match. Me dad's a blue, my mum's a red, so I had to do a similar juggle. And then I fell on Villa, so You've heard it here first.
Villa.
It was Aston Villa lad. I'm a Villa lad, yeah. I went to their soccer school when I was younger. You know, as a little kid, my auntie used to run a recreation centre, and Villa used to run their soccer school in that recreation centre. And the coach just said, "Yeah," she's like, "I've got a young nephew. He's only like 10, 11 or whatever." He said, "Yeah, get him in." So I used to go down there every summer and just do that for years. So I thought, like, by the time they were done and they made you know, you gotta. I was like, well, okay. I was always erring on the blue, you know, because
really.
Yeah, it's my dad's a blue nose, so I thought
it's bad when you're glory hunting supporting Villa.
It is this season, like it's doing all right. That Unai Emery, like, you know, he's smashing life at the minute. I feel like I think when he took over, like, yeah, what was they call that division?
Oh, see, my nephew, he's full on red, like
He's got sense.
tried and true, yeah.
Well, that's probably because he's not from Liverpool, isn't it?
Well, you know, probably not.
Oh, mate, I love it. Like I said to my boy, anyone but Man United. So growing up, my best mate in school was a Man United fan, and you can just imagine, like, his dad was from Manchester, so it was a whole family line thing, and he used to get people walk up to him and punch him in the face, just randomly come up, punch him in the face, and walk off. All the way through school, he's like, "I don't care, still support Man United." And then he had a kid, and his daughter supported Everton, and he's like, "I got to swap teams now, support Everton." Like, what? He's like, I can't do it. I can't let me kids support a different team.
Terrified of having a daughter.
I got a 6-year-old, mate. It's carnage. Oh, God knows what made me have kids at my age. I'm 40 years old. I'm too old for this stuff.
40 is that how old you are? Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
I'm 40 this year, mate. Yeah, I've got a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
Oh, and
it's I should have had them earlier, you know. Like, I'm just like, have you got so much energy? Stop. Like, just, do you want a cup of tea? They don't drink tea. Apparently, they don't have a brew. Babies.
Oh, mate, it's madness. I'm telling you. I've got an 18-year-old. I've done it all. It was in the past, and signed myself up for another life sentence.
You seem to do that with a lot of things, Joe.
Mate, I'm a nightmare.
I know.
I'm a nightmare for like suggesting things that are going to be awkward, and then.
I'm one of those like classic examples of, well, you know, it didn't work that time. Maybe it'll work this time. It's like
hey, that Timmy clone that I did for that last video. That's what happened there. I kept trying it. That was the longest. I've still got PTSD now. I was filming last night and there's some underboard wiring, and I was started to do it. I was like, nah, I'm not putting it under the board this time. I refuse. It's been like 4 weeks looking for that. Like, I put a wire in the wrong place under the board, and I spent 4 weeks trying to find it.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah, look at us.
We haven't even looked at the chat.
I was getting ready to say, look at us being bad hosts, man. We've got a full chat team there.
I'm late. Craze Fandango in as ever. Dave Barry, hello, mate. How's it going? John Pardo, thank you so much for ordering your tone bender, mate. I hope you got it today. He was one of the few. Funnily enough, I had one of my Navy mates who I haven't seen for quite some time order one and put a little note on there saying, "Well done, shippers." Unbelievable. I didn't even know he played guitar. No, I'm joking. I did. And then DJ Play Nice. What a handle. Thanks for hosting. Hello, Sailor. Get in. No worries, mate. This is this one I really wanted to like dig into it, because this pedal couldn't be more different from the way that I approach pedals. Firstly, it's like super professional. The packaging was insanely good.
Oh, it's great. It's from tip to tail.
I stamp a cardboard box and shove it in there. That's how you get my pedals. Stickers.
Yeah, on the outside.
But yours come in like it looked like an Etch-a-Sketch.
It reminds me of like going into the toy store and being like, "Ooh, I want that." You know, I mean,
that was it.
It was nailing it, man.
And what you can't see on the video, it feels like you could break a car window with it. It's like it's proper solid, you know. Have you seen Gone in 60 Seconds when he says, "I'm getting me tool"? It's like, that's not a tool, it's a brick. Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's like it's. I don't know whether that's a man thing or not. You pick something up and you go, "Oh, that's well made." It could just be like that.
You sound like Boris the Blade. The weight, it's a sign of quality, and if it doesn't work, you can always hit him with it.
Why do they call him Boris the Bullet Dodger? Oh, dodges
bullets, Avi.
Great.
I love it.
Funnily enough, mate, I had this American chief work for me years ago. He was in the Coast Guard. And when he first joined the ship, I said to him, "You've got to watch this film, mate. It'll teach you all about the UK." And he's like, "I don't understand." I sat him down and made him watch Snatch. He's just like, "I don't get any of this."
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, the Sketchy thing. So what made you think of like the Sketchy? Was it like the Etch-a-Sketch? You just have one with your kids or something and think that could be a pedal?
No, I was really drunk. I was talking like
a perfect answer.
I think I think when people say they don't drink, I just go, okay. Like I can't wait to hear the start of this story and the conclusion. It's going to be great. So yeah, I was really drunk, and I was talking to a guy called John who he used to make stickers for the HX Stomp, his Stomp Slaps on Instagram. That was his handle.
Yeah,
and I was just talking to him one night, and he was like, we were just chatting. I can't remember. I just remember saying to him, I just want to make something proper mad, like just gone out there, like just totally gone. And I said, you know, like you know, you just a pedal, you lift the window up, and then you draw the waveform on it or something like that. Like you draw your own waveform, like a tremolo or something, you know, like you draw something. And I was like, yeah, that. I said, I want to do that. You know, did you think lift a little plastic window, draw it with your finger? And I was like, you know, just something bonkers like that. And he was like, yeah. And we were chatting. And then like, I don't know, it was what was it? I was doing some code and stuff, and it was hard getting on with it quite a lot actually. Like there's a lot to learn. Like if you want to do anything with code, it starts like really difficult because you got to learn like the syntax to get it to do anything. Like initially, is really difficult. Mm-hmm. And then I think November 22 or 23 maybe, ChatGPT came out, and it said, you know, somebody was saying like, basically the computer speaks English now. And I was like, well, can I use it to speak computer? So I sat down there. I saw it like a Rosetta Stone for the coding. So I sat down with it and I said, yeah, like make this Arduino blink, like give me a blink sketch. And it just printed out a bit of code. And I looked at it, I went, it looks good. Because I knew that much. And then I've you know, dropped it in, like flashed it to my Arduino, and the LED started blinking. And I just thought, well, what else can it do? And then I saw like that I need a project. And I was working on something, and I just ditched everything I was working on, and I just started from there, and I just modularly, I remember that conversation with John, and just went, okay, there's what I'm doing, let's do that. So that was the project, and then like about 2 years, it took me about 2 years I was using it as like a tutor, you know, for C++, because you can ask it questions. Like if you want to ask a question to anything, you go on the internet, you try and Google it. Somebody needs to ask that exact same question in that exact same format in order for you to get the result. And that result needs to be at the top in order for it to be like wherever that forum is, that's the top result. And the top result is generally the one with the most feedback, as far as I can tell. And the ones with the most feedback is essentially like a question, two useless things, and then a load of dick measuring underneath. And it's just kind of like,
I love that. That's like 100%.
I'm new to the internet. Do you know, like this, I was like, and I quit the internet during Harmony Central. Like when that went that way, I just went, nah, I don't know. So I just carried. So I was just like, yeah. So I was talking to it, and it was talking back, and it was a chat 3.5, I think it was, and it was god awful. But I realized if I spoke to it like logically, in like succinct way, so it would give me fluff on top of like fudge on top of fudge on top of fudge, and a lot of the stuff it produced was useless. But I realized that if I spoke to it like mechanistically, like said in English, and then just parse what I'm saying in English and turn it into code, and then I give it the structure of the code, it actually did really well at 3.5. Then when I signed up for it, I very quickly reached a limit, got to 4, paid for that. And then 4 was a little bit better. The new version, now I think it's like 4.0 or something, is incredible. You don't even have to be like too mechanistic with it. But when I first started using it, when it first came out, and it was so that was the project.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those tools, mate, that like if properly applied, it can change everything you do. Like I heard somebody that's one of the top fight coaches talk about how it's changed everything he does with fight analysis, because he can like instantly like access all of his notes on everything without having to go back through pages and pages and pages of notebooks. So
you can train it.
If you train it properly,
So I built a GPT for Sketchy.
Just beware when it starts making your toast without your knowledge.
I wish you'd learn to make me my coffee warm. But anyone from work now will be absolutely pissing themselves watching this because they know that I use ChatGPT for everything.
Why wouldn't you?
Mate, that's the thing. So we have this thing called Mod GPT, which is the Ministry of Defence's version. It's terrible because no one uses it, so it's not learned anything. But I speak to it all the time because I'm like, this thing is going to do all the stuff that I don't want to do. In my role now, I've got like 60 sailors that are like sort of in my command chain, and I have to write reports for them once a year. Who wants to sit there and write 60, full page reports on someone that I barely know? No one. So I just put it in ChatGPT. They've got these results in their exams. They've turned up for work on time. I've picked them up for not having the right uniform on twice. Write a report, and it'll just write a report. And then afterwards, all I do is just edit their names in. It's brilliant. I use it for everything. Every last thing. I can't talk proper English, so I'm in like in a real management role now. So when I'm speaking to the upper chain, I don't know how you speak to them. I don't know how to send an email. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm meant to be in the builds, like hitting people with spanners. That's my job. So I just use ChatGPT. This is what I want to say. Please write this. I'm writing it to a commander. And then they'll just do all the correct etiquette, send it off. And no one knows. I can see it sometimes when I go to like award ceremonies. I take my lads, I've done a citation or whatever. And I turn up and the commander will start talking to me. And you see them double take, like, is this the same guy that's sending me them emails and that wrote the citation? Because all they're getting is ChatGPT. It's brilliant.
The secret's out.
Yeah. Mate, it's been out for ages. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. It's been out for a while. It's like
I did a video, Joe Halliday versus ChatGPT, for a pedal build to design an electric distortion, and I think the ChatGPT one sounded better. No one cared about the video; it flopped massively. So clearly, the pedal world don't want to know about it. But afterwards, someone said to me, "Just type in and ask it what it thinks of you." I thought, why not? Can you design a better pedal than Joe Halliday of Hello Sailor Effects? And it said no. It said that I could design a better one. I was like, right, that's it. The machine agrees I'm better.
I mean, you really do have to vet the output from it because a lot of time it just makes stuff up. There are 100%. A lot of saying that you're better and that, like, that's it is being accused of being sycophantic recently. So maybe it's just trying to be your mate there. Like, I don't know why it's doing that.
But when it's telling everyone else, it's definitely sycophantic, but it meant to.
It's going.
As long as it's saying that to everyone. As long as it's saying, "Nah, Joe's the best."
No, but
that's
it's
all right.
going HAL 2000 on you, Dave.
What else?
What's wrong, Dave?
What else
doing, Dave?
Another mate, a massive another tip is just every now and again say, "You're wrong. I feel like you've made a mistake," and it'll go back through and it'll check it and it'll either say, "No, I'm correct because of this," or it'll say, "Oh, you're right. I found this information from somewhere, but actually there's this other information." So, for example, it was telling me that I can't remember. So maybe a PNP transistor was NPN, and I said, "No, you're wrong. Go and check your facts," and it would go and check it. But you could do that about everything. And now and again, because I discussed a lot of like YouTube videos with it. When I'm discussing it with them now and again, I'll just stop and say, "You're wrong. Please check all your information." And it'll go through and it'll either say, "No, I'm not," or "Yes, I am." But as you say, the new version is very powerful.
It connects to the internet, which I've found really helpful. Like, obviously, I'm kind of not in R&D mode at the minute. But I'm working. Well, not for pedals. I'm always in R&D mode. There's always something ticking in the background I'm trying to do, and like my day jobs as a technician as well. And ChatGPT has just been like a massive like to market accelerator for anything that involves like coding, or especially if there's something like when you lay the stuff out and you go like, here's what I know, here's what I don't know. Let's attack the thing I don't know. Let's see where we end up, and then reassess the things I do know and see if it fits in. So you're doing this whole system with it. And what it can do now is connect to the internet and just be like, here's the source. And you've got to be like, right, well, give me the sources for the thing you're saying. So I was having some trouble the other day. I was doing some DSP with I can't find it. I was in a drawer somewhere because it was crap. It was the ST Microelectronics. It was an F411RE board. It's a STM32 DSP, basically, digital signal processing. for digital guitar pedals. Really nice. It can do it in real time with no latency, so it's really powerful. And I was trying to work with that, and it kept. I was saying like, do you have access to the schematics? I couldn't find the schematic for the board. I said, yeah, I've got access to the schematic. Don't worry about it. And like, you feel like you're being fluffed, but it's a computer. Like, this is weird. So then I'm saying, it's saying connect G4 for the bootloader. I'm going, well, there's no J4. There's no J4. And it's going, yeah, it's right next to the USB. So there's nothing next to the USB. Like, I'm talking to it, and I go, give me the schematic, give me your sources. Where are you getting this from? Oh, well, and more fluff. No. Give me the sources, because I can't find the schematic for this thing anywhere. And they used to call it hallucinations in the early days. Before it connected to the internet, it was preloaded with information. You used to have to prompt it and say, "Are you familiar with this microcontroller? Do you have the data sheet for it or whatever?" And then again, you'd have to vet the output, because what it'd do is it just hallucinate stuff. So it's not as easy as just like build me something. And it's great at like writing a paragraph, but it's terrible at narrative tracking. And so when you're writing code, like for a code snippet, if you're writing just like a simple executable, like little bit that you just like, right, I just want to see this light flashing or whatever, it's absolutely fantastic. But when that's tied into this sketch, and there's a variable over here there's a dependency over here, and you've got a pointer over here, and the whole thing, like, you have to design everything modularly, because what it can't do is track narrative. So you still have to learn like how to structure code, how to build it properly, because it will do one thing in isolation really, really well. It's like a PhD. It's like, yeah, man, I can do this one thing really well. And like, that was a lot of the time that I spent with it was kind of, and for some reason, like, you say to it, do this one thing, and it just goes boom, like right down, just lines and lines and lines. I had to train mine to just be like, here's the answer, stop. Like, I don't need a million or 99 out of the 100 suggestions. I'm fairly technically minded. Like, I'd be like, I know. I've eliminated all of them things. Like, I don't want to go through every individual one. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't easy to do. It still took like a couple of years to get the code right and get it working and stuff like that. But ChatGPT was like I think it would have taken me 10 years to do Sketchy without it. And I think that it offered like a productivity accelerator that was by no means perfect, but was much more workable than trying to find the information in like these disparate corners of the internet where 99% of what you're reading is dick measuring. It's like really difficult to and you, especially when you can't assess what's right and what's wrong, and you're in that stage where you're learning. Like, it's so that was it. That's all it was just the outcome from that curiosity as to like, can I do this? I need a sufficiently complex project. Well, that thing was mental. I was talking to John about, let's do that. And
well, now we know why the interface is the Etch-a-Sketch, because it's like that's perfect.
Well, that was like, I mean, that was just like I was sat there and because I wanted to draw it on with my finger. Fingers are fat, they're rubbish, right? So then I was like, well, use a stylus. The styluses get lost, they're rubbish. Okay, well, I mean, and if you really want a screen that you can interact with, it's like nice resolution with like something like a finger. Like, this is a perfect. This is like the rise and fall of £1 billion industries on whether your finger does something where you're supposed to. It's a quite high resolution as well, and like tracking the interactivity where you can just go like, okay, I don't want that. This is the perfect one. So actually, you don't need the screen. Just use the screen, connect to it like live to it, Bluetooth and whatever. But I say that's shit. So like, oh, you gotta get your phone out every time you want to do something. So I was like, right, well, guitar pedals have got knobs, so I need a way of plotting like an XY, like you say. Like, I need a way of plotting that with knobs. It's done. It was done in the 50s. It's an Etch-a-Sketch. Right, well, then that's the whole. Now I don't need to worry about anything else, because all I've got to do is pick up an Etch-a-Sketch, look at it, and go, what did they do? Like, it's red. Well, I know what color mine is now. Like, that's it. It's dead easy.
It just looks brilliant, but it blows my mind how powerful it is.
I didn't design it. Somebody, some fellow did.
Whammo!
It's class.
Thank you, man.
I can't believe it hasn't been picked up like in a big way, as in someone like Anderton's haven't just slapped you with a massive order and bought you out and said, right, exclusively you're going through us, because it is that good.
Yeah, the retails, it's not like through lack of trying where retails try to get me on board. But I've had it for, I think since the Scram video took off now, I get retailers trying to get on board all the time. But the problem with retailers is they've got like a 50%. They want like a 50% RRP, like their markup. So, and this is without a distributor. This is if you're dealing with them direct. So and for me anyway, I know I've spoke to some lads like Stone Deaf and Luke at Stone Deaf and Jesse at 29 about how they deal with it. But yeah, you're talking like whatever price that I could make from it, I would have to be a manufacturer manufacturing thousands of them in order to see anything like what I'd do if I could just sell a couple of hundred by myself, doing it by myself. And so if you can build an audience and sell direct, it's so much better for you, like, because then you don't become a manufacturer, you have to become everything else as well to like accommodate that margin and like, but yeah, so even if they did come knocking, I'd regrettably, probably because I'm stubborn, I'd be like, nah, man, I can do this. I don't need you. You need me. Like, don't be giving me like 50% there. You're like, you going to sell another tube screen, right? Are you going to make another con shoot out? Oh, yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no. You need the innovation. I don't need you. Like, I don't need to be paying you like 50, 60% RRP in order for you to just be like, oh, we got another thing. Because you've got a shelf that a lot of people look at. I don't care. Like, I'd just be like, nah, like, yeah, it's you's gonna go stale. It's you's gonna look stupid when you don't get onto it. So, yeah, like, make me a better offer or see you later.
I've struggled with it myself. Well, my stuff's impossible to market because there is no stuff. It's all different.
Everything's unique. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess no one could buy 10 pedals off me that are the same. It'd be,
I don't know. You see, didn't you have Mike at Seeker on the other day?
Yeah.
Was that it? Yeah. He did a really cool thing, didn't he? Where he was like, he found like a standard line, like he'd make like bunches of 25 or something, and he'd get them tight within that 25, and he'd make them all the same. And if that's something you're interested in, but if you're not, do you know what I mean? If you're not, then you're not interested. Why would you do it?
Yeah, I just can't. So my whole thing is like I find an old radio, get an NKT 275, that one transistor, make a pedal around it. Right now, the next thing, I get too bored, I think. I mean, that's a terrible business model, obviously, but
I don't know. You're here.
Well, yeah.
Spoken to me about it. You know?
It's been going well. Like, I mean, YouTube is like it's insane what you can do with YouTube. As you say, your Scram video, it just blows everything up. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I basically like that Scran, that Oasis video for Scran is like what, like 70% of my income just from that one video. And that was 4 years ago and still doing that way. Like, yeah, it's great. Do you know what I mean? So this is it when you saw retailers and that, like, well, okay, maybe, but I mean, if you can do that, and you have got to land, and you've got to run with it, and you've got to have the follow up. Like, you've got to be able to, when it does land, you've got to be able to go. Like, and so it's not for everyone. Like, sometimes, like, I remember this Christmas coming, I was getting scrans through orders of like, there's like 6 or 7 of them a day coming through. And that doesn't sound a lot to some people. But like, I've got to build them. Do you know, I'm like, I wasn't expecting to have to do that in October. Like, and so before I knew it, I had like 100 pedals on order. I'm like, mate. And if you don't meet that, then it's gone, and you pop the bubble, and then it gets around that you can't meet that, you know. So there's like a preparation opportunity, follow through. Like they always say, like, preparation opportunity, meet things happen, but you got to follow through as well. You got to make sure that you deliver on that promise, whatever that promise is, whether it's the tone, whether it's the delivery, or the thing that's available for people and they're not having to wait. They want it, you got to give it to them. You got to that follow through, and I'm still running that follow through now with Scran. It's amazing.
Until you're analog mic and you've got the 6-year waiting list, it's just not it's not doable. I mean, I
just really like, I couldn't imagine like having the stress over my head for a 6-week waiting list, much less a 6-year waiting list, man. Oh gosh. It's like, I wouldn't do anything for myself. Every time I would be like trying to relax, I'd be thinking about those, back orders. It's just like, how do you do that? I can't. I mean, I want to build it and sell it. Like, I don't want to take any pre-orders. I've done that before. I know how it turns out, and this is like, it's a nightmare. At least for a slacker like me.
If you get in the business, you don't want to, as you say, you don't want the bubble to burst. You got to keep going. And I take it it's the Scran that people are ordering then over everything.
The Scran's the biggest seller one. Yeah. We get. I still do like the clean machines like picking up recently. That's a really nice one. I think the thing is, all of them that I've done are not immediately obvious why it's good to anybody, because it's just like, well, because I was like I was a sound engineer for years, and so like I realized that the solutions that I'm offering like are different solutions, because within the same solution, like within the same paradigm, like volume, tone, gain, or whatever, like excuse me, it's actually quite difficult to find the solution for the thing that that you might want, and so you've got to go through like a million pedals to do it. Whereas kind of, I don't want to be like one in a queue or one of a batch. I want to be like, look, this is the solution. This is what you need, right? And I've been on the receiving end of enough bad guitar tones in my time to kind of know like what's, I fixed them on the desk to kind of know what the fixes are a little bit and be like, yeah, this is what you need a little bit. And it's not immediately obvious, and it's a learning curve. Everyone says the same thing, it's a learning curve with it. But then every review for every pedal I've got, right? If somebody gets on a reviewer, they'll say it's got a clean machine masterpiece preamp, they called it in Music Radar, right? But the guys reviewed, the con was it's dead hard to use. Like, I've got no idea what it's doing. But like when I get it, it's wonderful. And the Scran, like I get emails every day from people going, I don't think the soft knob's working. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's, if you can't hear it, you don't need it. And they're like, well, but is my pedal broke? Like, no, man, I promise you, it's not broke. It's just, it's doing something that you're not aware of yet. And that's okay. Like, but do us a favor when you're doing a gig. If you find yourself interfering with the singer a bit too much, rather than turning your guitar down, turn the soft knob down, and you'll find that you've got your space and they've got theirs. It's taking a bit out that you're not listening for. But as an engineer, that's the space you create to slot everybody in. And I've put it on a pedal, and I realized it was a dumb thing to do. Like a really stupid idea.
How do you market that to people who don't play live? Because I don't play live. So for me, I literally play in my workshop, so I can understand. Like it probably wouldn't be as immediate to me. But how do you market that?
You don't. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
It's a solution looking for a problem. In other words, is what you're saying, right?
Well, no, because they're made to be played loud, aren't they? You know what I mean? So it's probably one of the most essential things ever.
It would be great for club musicians that don't have a good, reliable sound man. Like if you have an ear for live music and you're a working musician, like a DIY type, that's how you market it. You market it to the DIY types that, come from the Steve Albini mold, where they want to learn how to do everything, from making their posters to playing their music to engineering to producing. And so
a lot of guitarists, like, so I used to be a sound engineer for a long time, and I did the gigs where I had my own venue, my own sound system that I was very familiar with, and different bands rattled through there. Then I was doing I had my own, I've had two of my own venues, and then I was doing touring with different bands where the venue changes around the band. And so you've got so you've either got the same venue, different band. And I've never done but as a guitarist, you find yourself in like different rooms with different engineers. So from the sound engineer's perspective, it's quite nice, because you've either got only one thing's changing most nights. You either got a residency or you're on tour. It's either the room or the band. But for a guitarist, it's the room and the engineer that's changing every time. And you've got to figure out the room, and you've got to figure out the engineer because you're trying to deliver, and half the time you can't hear what's going on. So because I've been on the stage side of it a lot as well.
Well, I've been in so many bands where you are the engineer too. Your soundboard's on stage with you, and like whoever's able to turn around and move the sliders and like twiddle the knobs, or so I mean,
have you guys noticed a trend towards like silent stages and stuff? Is that a thing for live?
I've seen it, yeah. And in-ear monitors, it's really spooky. The first time I ever saw it, I worked for some big Nashville country act that I can't even remember the name, and I remember there were no monitors on stage. They had all in-ear monitors, and it was just like where's the sound? It was like so hollow sounding because everything was going forward, and there were, you know, LED lights everywhere for their stage show. I mean, it was really bizarre. It was like, what is this?
I was on tour with a band called Death and the Creatures, and they had no drummer. So like they had a guy who was doing all the programming for the drums on stage, and he was like a John Hopkins kind of. He was well into John Hopkins. In fact, his whole motto was, "What would John Hopkins do?" I think he had it written on his keyboard. Like he's like sort of like kind of drum and bass kind of stuff with like ethereal kind of thing. And then they had this a guy singing and a girl singing, a backing guitarist. The guy singer had an acoustic guitar. She didn't have anything. Electric guitarist, and then this keys like programming guy. And the electric guitarist for some reason had a fucking AC30. Sorry, am I allowed? Is this?
Yeah.
Is this like? Is that okay? Yeah. Sorry, because it was a fucking AC30, man. Like, why have you got that? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you kidding? In this setup, like nobody. There's an acoustic guitar up there and a guy playing keyboard. No drummer, and you've got an AC30. Like, nah, man. So I gave him my my Pod HD 500 and said, we'll just run it all through them. We'll all run it all through direct, like front of house, and we'll get the most out of it, because the only stage volume was that AC30, and everything else had to come up around it. And it was supposed to be like stereo mixes. It's kind of like drum and bass, nice ethereal. There was a lot of echoes, a lot of like swells and stuff on the desk. You know, it's like a lot of live programming, like a live mixing kind of stuff as well. And then
just an AC30 down the
just an AC30 just rattling the walls at the side. Like, lad,
I've got to say though, mate, everyone else was wrong and he was right. They should have all had amps.
I know. I had to be the one to tell him though. Do you know what I mean?
That's fantastic.
Sorry, I've just turned the gain down on me mic preamp a little bit. I've just realised I'm getting a bit excited here. I've just heard myself like the distortion myself, you know.
You hit the red line a couple of times there.
Yeah, man.
StreamYard's pretty good at balancing the levels, unless you'd have someone like as big as bloody Brian Wampler on, and I have my level well too high. It's like melting the preamp. Get in.
Does he talk loud? Does he Wampler?
You're living then. No, it was me. I absolutely destroyed it. For some reason, my mic, I must have turned it up.
It was your excitement level, like, was what it was. You were about to like explode.
Man, I would be.
Yeah. It was insane, mate. I've been following this guy since like 2008. You know what I mean?
That's a legend, man.
And, yeah, unbelievable. And to be fair, he's such a nice guy as well. He doesn't have to. Like, who bothers with a small podcast like us when you're Brian fucking Wampler? You know what I mean?
He had the Chase and Tone one like 10 years ago when he Biscuits and Gravy. Who was that lad? What's his name now?
Blake Wyland.
Yeah. It was him and them two now.
They're still going, mate.
Is it? Yeah. I used to listen to it in work. I used to have it on in the lab while I was like setting up for the when the kids were coming in. I used to just get it on, bit of Chase and Tone and that. Like,
if anyone's into podcasts, did anyone used to listen to Six String Bliss? That was a good podcast.
Oh yeah, man. That's an old. It's like that's an old reference there.
Yeah, it was like 2008 when I got it. I just consumed everything that I could when I was starting out. I tell you what though, anything like digital or like when you said, "Oh yeah, I was just doing a bit of coding," like never have I ever said I was just doing a bit of coding. In fact, the most coding I've ever done is to get my degree. I had to do binary maths. I did a bit of that for my degree, and that was it. Other than that, I've never done anything to do with, anything like that, computers or talk to ChatGPT. That's about it.
ChatGPT will get if it's something you're curious about. ChatGPT will get you going. I've been around them for years. Like I was living in so I studied chemistry at university because I did I was a sound engineer. I was doing that, and then in 2008, like there was a bit of a downturn in the industry. You know, the whole finance system imploded. They kind of do that a lot of the time. People stopped paying to go to gigs, so like a lot of pub guys were like, "Yeah, I'm not going to put. We don't need a sound engineer. The band can mix themselves." Right. So I'll see you there, John.
God, it was like
you put me out of business, lad.
No, they put us out of business too. It's like we went from being able to pull down like $1,500 to $3,500 a pop for our gigs to where they were like telling us that we had to pay them $200 and sell our own tickets, and there was no free beer. It was like, what? Man. I'll stay home and jerk off. I'm one of a kind. I'm designer. I mean, come on, I'll make you a counter offer.
Oh man, I never got into playing live much. Like when I was playing guitar a lot, we played one gig in Valencia, mate. It was just the ship's band. We phoned this Irish bar up and we said, if we supply 200 sailors that will drink everything you have in your whole pub, can we play live? And they were like, what the fuck? Yeah, all right. And we literally put 2 coach loads of lads on. It was carnage. The only thing is, none of us had amps. So we had like this one amp with like 3 guitars going into it, the singer. We had a full on, and the ship had its own fucking drum set. So we had a drummer who was like the best musician ever on the full drum set. And this Irish bar, like,
oh my God.
Mate, honestly, so we went in the middle of the day to set up and they were looking like, who the fuck are these guys? You got one solid state amp. I think it was like a Cube or something like that, with 3 guitars, a singer, a bass guitarist, and a fucking full-size drum set. And then these 2 coaches turn up, and I mean massive coaches, full of sailors who can drink like fish. And they were like, we'll put free sangria on. And I did say to them, look, mate,
don't do that.
They can drink, so make sure there's loads. And they were like, yeah, we've got loads. An hour in, they were like, we've run out of sangria. I don't even remember playing, mate. I was terrible anyway. The lads were coming past and just tipping, drinking me. I was like, oh, all right. Yeah, it was the worst gig in the world, but it was fantastic. That was literally my only. In fact, after that gig, they closed up and went home to Ireland for 3 months. They were like, we've got nothing to sell.
We're done.
Yeah, but so I like live music. I've never really approached guitar or pedals from a live perspective. So it's interesting that you factored that in. Definitely. And how do you go about that with the digital side of things? If someone's going to be using an analog setup. So, for example, if someone's using like a wet dry setup with 2 valve amps, is that going to affect your pedals? Or do you know what I mean? Is that affects the way that they approach it for something like the Sketchy?
So is a wet dry setup where you have all your effects out of 1 amp and all your non-effects through 1 amp? What is that?
So the way that I'd run it is like your overdrive goes to both amps, but your modulation would go to 1.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's one of them where like if it depends how you set your signal chain up. You know, like just the Sketchy's like it's mono in, mono out. So like however you run that, if that's how you want to run it, just run it like a pedal, just like a normal pedal. I think there's. Oh,
but does it flip the phase from the input to the output? Is it? Oh no, yeah,
because I've got a through. Because I've got a through.
Oh right, so it's analog play through. Yeah.
It's got a through signal through it, so at the end I have to be like absolute phase at the end in order to match with the through sound going through it, and the through sound's going through like a non-inverting configuration. So like so it's matched up at the end, which is nice. So
mate, you'd be surprised how many people make these sort of modulation pedals and then have it so then it's inverted coming out the other end.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
What's really difficult with that stuff, like so on the Belter Skelter, I don't know if you've seen that pedal. It's a bass pedal, so but like you see this thing, yeah. So I've got the so I had the one of the lads who worked on SpongeBob. He's a mate. He's the animator for SpongeBob.
So, get out.
That's so awesome, he did mate. This is the so there's the Helter Skelter from the White Album. There's Bungalow Bill up there. There's the blackbird up the top. There's this tiger that he's hunting. Where's that? Yeah, Rocky Raccoon's been. Yeah, the Rocky Raccoon's over there. He's shooting a bottle, shooting some bottles, and there's the piggies. You know, they're all drunk and that. And when I was doing that, that was a weird bass pedal because what I realized, like one of the problems with bass, because I did installs as well, because when I say sound engineer, there's the mixing one and then there's the actual like engineering, like installations for clubs and stuff like that. Like a new venue just opened, they want a big sound system, they put out a contract, somebody comes in, fits it, and it's like, and there's one venue, it was like this really long thin thing, so it's like you've got the stage, but you know the stage over there, and then you get this, and then the problem is by the time you get to the back, like everything's so out of time, like what's coming out the speakers over here is so out of time, so you've got to have like a delay lines,
so
to match it up a little bit, to make sure that it doesn't come out the speaker immediately, because if it does, it drops out of phase. And for the vocals, it's kind of like you can do it to taste, and for the guitars, you can do it to taste. Like famously, we have phases, but for bass, it's one of the worst things you can do to a bass guitar is put it out of phase, because the arse just drops out of it. And if the arse, like, so I was a professional bass player for a while. Like if you get up on stage and if you drop like a beat on the bass, like nobody knows what's just happened, but all the girls just suddenly go. Like so much just gone out for them, and the songs just so like. And if you put the bass out of phase, even just like 20-30 degrees out of phase, you know, and so like with the Belter Skelter, it's a bass pedal, so there's some phase matched. The clean through has got a phase matcher. I think it's about 15 degrees out at about. Without the phase match is about 15 degrees out of phase. Means like every 6 cycles or so, 15 times. Yeah. So every 6 or 12, one or the other. Every time it goes round, it's producing this phase like drift. It's like comb filtering. Sorry. And yeah, it's really bad. And the arse just drops out the bass straight away, and it's awful. So I had to like compensate that with the Belter Skelter. You have to do it with the delay lines in the thing. And so with modulation effects, I really like. There's the 180, which is like brutal, you know, and it's fully like out of phase. It's full cancellation.
That's what I mean.
It's just this piss string that's left behind, and it's just like great, like loving that. I would, if I was doing the modulations like that, I'd be so like, especially on like bass modulations or anyone that makes a release of the bass modulation. I just think that's brave, man. That's like because just the slightest little bit out of phase, and it sounds like a piss whisper in a tiny little, you know, it's just awful, man. I don't like. So has anyone ever said piss whisper before? I don't know.
We'll say it
it's
now.
Terrible.
We'll say it now.
I tell you,
it's like
I tell you what I've just noticed.
We
were just talking about amplifiers and rigs, and I've just looked over and noticed that my Victory V40's been on for about 2 days because it's still running now. Excuse me.
Oh, steady state valves, man.
Mate, I've left that thing on for a week before now, and it's still going strong.
It's turning them off and on again that does the damage, man. A lot of the
times,
Once they're on,
charging them caps.
That's why some people like started putting a soft start into their amp designs that were tube amps, so that you didn't like hit it with that spike. You would hit a stage and then gradually bring them up. So,
mate, I'm in the Ken Fisher camp where you'd have an 80 microfarad cap on your first stage with a valve rectifier. He's brutal. I mean, you can only use Mullard valves in them old train wrecks, otherwise they just like destroy the power valve. Like, class. I was looking at that today, actually. I get every now and again I go, do you know what? I'm going to build another amplifier, and I try my hardest not to, because it's like a time suck and you make no money from it whatsoever. But I started looking, going, I fancy building another train wreck. Like, stop doing it to yourself. Why? Yeah.
What's the train wreck?
So the one that I've built here in front of me is a Rocket, which is like a souped up AC30. But normally what he does is build on the old black. I think it was a blackface design, wasn't it? Yeah. Basically it's just real heavy filtering and all of the fluff like EQ's taken out, from what I can see. But if you looked inside one of his amplifiers, I mean the 30-40 grand now, are they? Now that he's dead. But anyway, the caps are like,
they've gotten legendary status. That's why. I mean, you
get filter caps are done in a stack, so they're not even on the board. They're just like piled on top of each other and glued down. Yeah, which blows my mind. But
it's like something I was talking about with one of my friends earlier. It's like all you got to do is like get one person to use your product, and suddenly your prices go through the roof. Or somebody sees somebody playing something and it becomes cool, and everybody wants it. And if it's rare, then prices go through the roof. That's why they're like 30 or 40 grand.
Well,
for sure.
He had this sort of thing where he would like, because he's an ex-Navy engineer, which makes him amazing anyway. Let's face it. But he had this thing where he'd only use certain transformers. So he'd buy like 100 transformers, test them, and then send 40 of them back or whatever. But the Rocket, he started using there's an old Dynaco stereo system, ST70, I think it is. Anyway, he would use the output transformers for this amp. And so I built 2 of them using kits from Modeless Amplification, who were amazing. But with this one, I was like, I really want this output transformer. So I found 2 and built 2, and it sounds completely different. It's like a different kettle of fish. So maybe there is something to, Ken Fisher knowing what to choose or whatever. But he would like run wires in a certain way because they sound different, or use certain grade wire or certain materials, even down to like the chassis being made of like aluminium instead of bent steel, because the way it interacts with the magnetic waveform. People say it doesn't make a difference, but
it makes a huge difference, man. Like it really does, especially when you can hear it on. Excuse me, when you hear it on scale. Most people don't hear it on scale. If you've ever been in a professional recording studio and you hear things in scale and you can hear how things are affected, on those levels, then it starts making sense. But if all you've ever heard something through is like a really low volume setting and you're not driving it, or you're not putting other things into it or incorporating it into a signal chain of other things, it's like, that's lost to you until you actually encounter why it makes a difference. And I think that's what a lot of people just don't understand.
Yeah, it's rough. Amplifiers are so much more finicky than like guitar pedals, because you can put. I very much doubt that I could hear the difference between like a through-hole SD1 and one of the newer surface mount SD1s. I just don't think I could hear the difference. But an amplifier, because parasitic inductance and the voltages inside, I reckon I could probably tell. Or whether you like the difference is another thing, I suppose. But yeah. So your pedals mostly through hole, or are they surface mount? Or I've never actually seen inside one of them.
I'll show you.
So normally when I get a new pedal, the first thing I do is take the back off. But this Sketchy looks so good that I just couldn't do it to it.
Should we get the Sketchy? Hang on, I think there's a couple around here now. Yeah, do you mind if I just grab a board or two?
No, grab one.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, John, you know what I'm like. As soon as I get a new pedal, I don't even plug it in.
You gotta check it out and see what's in there. Actually, I did a little research, and I looked at a listing of one of the Sketchies for sale, and they had interior shots of it. So I kind of know the answer, but
yeah, it's a mix. Like it's horses for courses, very much so. So this is the signal board.
Oh, class.
So it couldn't possibly be this big if I were to do this.
Some of those ICs, like you'd have a Klon size pedal beyond. I mean,
and the rest.
So this bit here now, I think is the through hole equivalent is that. And that's as tight as I can get it. There is a through hole version of Sketchy that exists. And this is a part of it. I hacked it apart so I could show you, because I thought these lads love this stuff. So
maybe that's class.
So that's so you got these long, and underneath there, it's very there's a lot of solder in that, but
that's another level of engineering.
That's right in my wheelhouse. I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah, man. That's how I build.
That's how I build. I mean, if you get a pedal from me, most of the time it's going to be on a board like that. My PCB designs that I've burnt, like I'm almost through all of them, and I don't know if I'm going to order any more. We'll see.
For prototyping, it's the only way to because like you can breadboard like on a board, like the whiteboards. What are they called? The
the breadboard.
So like you can do that on the breadboard. But some things like if you spilt like some beer or something on your breadboard or whatever,
as we're wont to do,
or it might have corroded, or if it's an old one and you don't realize it, or there's a bit of blue tack worked its way in. A lot of things can happen to these things, in a day in the life. And if one of them connections is a ground, it can throw all kinds of things off. You can think there's a buzzing where there isn't a buzzing. You'll find all kinds of things, and the best way to do these things is to solder them down a lot of the time. So you start off in the breadboard, get the proof of concept down, then you maybe move on to something like this in order to make sure that your layout's like good, because where the component goes, obviously, and like the length of the component, like that you were talking before, the did you say parasitic inductance, wasn't it? So like stuff like this like really starts to matter at these at this scale. And then whether it's a mechanical connection or a soldered connection, especially for grounds, and if it's do grounds, like mechanical connections are not great, and they need to be clean. They need to be nice and clean and grippy and tight and like and then so then from there the surface mount stuff, it requires a little more designing, because essentially everything on here now is massively overspec. So he's like quarter watt resistors, and a quarter watt resistor for a lot of the stuff that you're doing, if you sit down and work it out, is far too much, and it's good, like, but you can get away with like. It's always good to have the headroom, but if for example, that there's a signal that's running through there, if you've got like a digital potentiometer and you've got 0 to 5 volts headroom, and that your signal like is only going to be 5 volts at most, and Yeah, so you can work out basically the power dissipation factor that's running through the resistor. And then once you got the power dissipation factor, and you can optimize the size of the resistor for it, and you reduce your parasitic inductance and parasitic capacitances at the solder joints and from the legs. So and then the layout again comes into it a lot. So it's just as important when working at the SND stuff, except you need to, like you do with the amps, you need to think about like this resistor, 1 watt resistor is not going to cut it because it's maybe like the heating element on a valve amp or something. The 1 watt, it's not 1 watt.
Yeah.
So like you need to make sure that resistor is spec'd. And I see a lot of like Blues Juniors, that we've had a
we had a lot of those come into the shop. Yeah,
the indie years, like in the mid 2000s, and I was an engineer.
Yep.
I was on the road with a lot of bands that were like in that kind of indie scene, like giving it all that, like the Blues Junior and that, like and that was the sound, was the speaker on that Blues Junior.
Yeah.
And they had a problem with theirs because the resistors were under-spec'd. And it's the same with the pedals.
It was a known problem. I mean,
and
to the point where
the boards fail as well, don't they? On them things, I've seen so many replacement boards.
Well, it depended on which one you got, because there were several different Blues Junior models, and they were made in different places. Like there was a overseas Blues Junior, there was a south of the border Blues Junior, and then there was a made in the USA Blues Junior. Right. So it depended on which one, and also there was a known batch of resistors that were bad that Fender got, like Hot Rod Deluxes, DeVille's, like all these different amps from that era were coming into our repair shop with the same problem, to the point where like Fender kind of like, we're like, we'll give you like a new PCB, just like send us your original purchase receipt, if you still had it. So
the thing is, they're so cheap.
It's
the
reason why I quit like trusting any tube amp that had a PCB in it. If it's not point to point, turret board, I don't want it in a tube amp, because tube amps produce so much violent force and heat and current fluctuations that surface mount components and that kind of stuff, it just doesn't last. It can't handle it.
Yeah.
For me, the V40 is like a PCB, but it's built like a tank. I can't even.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's a proper PCB, I'm talking about like the stuff that they're putting out. The super thin, like you can break it like a wafer, for communion, and it's like I don't want that in a tube amp, man. There's
certain things. Sorry, John. Go.
Sorry, mate. Go ahead.
No,
you're right.
I just said I don't want that in a tube amp, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like it's certain things you can engineer into there. Like there's so that the traces, the width of the traces and the thickness of the traces, like you can calculate, if you know how much power is running through there, you can calculate. It's called the heat dissipation factor of like how well that trace can handle. The problem comes in the quality control aspect of the PCBs that you're getting, and like Is that a 1 ounce like copper FR4 board? Is that the proper thickness? Is the adhesion good on it right the way through? And the guaranteeing of that is actually, and the verification of that is really difficult to do. And so you make your calculations based on that. If you've made the calculations, you're hoping the guy on the PCB is going, how much power is running through this trace now? Right, okay, sound, and gone off and done his due diligence. But a lot of the time, maybe that's not the case. Maybe the person doing that isn't on very much money and it's just there on an agency job or whatever, Or,
it's Friday at 4:00 and they're ready to go home,
and they've just missed this. I mean, they're the it's one of them where I think, well, okay, I understand why there can be mistakes in these things, and if the thing's properly characterized, as in if it comes with a data sheet and it fits within that data sheet and it does what it says it does on the tin, then you can work with that. It's when the things like you said about the bad batch of resistors, like bad batch of PCBs. What if their supplier has got the wrong adhesion, like the glue? They haven't mixed the glue properly to put the copper on, or the deposition of the copper onto the FR4 isn't so uniform across it. They haven't tested it because there's no quality control. They haven't tested the resistance, like probes and that, to make sure that the sheets is the same or whatever. And they've gone with a cheaper version where maybe them checks haven't been done, maybe. And and then they've gone, let's go with that. There's no reason why the PCB is any different than the wire. It's just it's a bit of copper on a board. It's that other bit where it's the unknown things that it's not doing what it's supposed to do, and it interrupts the calculations. And I think, and the most dangerous part, like, is weirdly the thing you can't factor in is how musicians are going to treat the gear as well.
Exactly.
I was just about to say that.
I've had enough experience with enough musicians to know that they're going to treat it any way that you can possibly imagine, and they're going to blame. They're going to blame anything but their treatment of it for the problem.
Well, you'd think the manufacturer would factor that in. So we have that in like multi-trillion-pound warships. So they're basically like built to last a battle or whatever. But then you'll get a relay that doesn't operate in the temperatures where the ship goes. So you go out the Gulf and it's 50 degrees. The relay's not rated to operate there, so it fails. You're like, this is a multi-million-pound, billion-pound warship. How is this happening? Well, we designed it to operate in the UK. It would have been fine running within your voltages, your parameters, or whatever. You take it out the Gulf. You took it out of its, specs. Whereas I think I always try and over-engineer everything. If I'm gonna like tighten something on or stick something down, I'm going to town thinking that someone's actively trying to break it.
Oh yeah. No. I try and think like, how big of an idiot can I be, and what possibly could go wrong, and then give my best attempt at like preventing anything too stupid.
I do my LEDs with like this with epoxy.
I love that. Yeah, that's a brilliant solution, man.
I used to use this stuff that the military gets, and I was like, military specs, it's got to be amazing. And I sent a pedal out to Texas, and the postman had left it on the doorstep all day. And when the guy come to get it, the epoxy just melted out of the LED. It was that brutal. And so I was like, fuck, I can't use that. I'll try something else and upgrade it or whatever. But it's when Fender doesn't do that and they double down and just keep pumping them out. That's the problem. If you're going to like fix your mistakes.
It's a known issue now. Like, it's one of them where you go, all right, mate, my amp's not working. Have you got a Blues Junior? Yeah, how did you know? All right. Come on, mate. I've got 100 of these resistors in stock. I bought them all in for you. Been waiting.
we got some comments in the chat too.
I was going to say we need to get through.
Well, they were talking about the Blues Junior. Like,
oh yeah.
Even the newest ones have under-spec bias resistors, according to Daniel Mincher. And
really?
Cheers, Daniel.
So he says there's a £15 fix. Is that just changing the transistors, the resistors? Then is it?
Yeah. So I don't know what that is, but I think the first guy, what did he say? He said that it stopped people buying better amps. This is the bubble that I was on about. Is that like when people step outside like Normieville? Because we were talking about like the pedals before, and you're saying about your musician or whatever. Like, if they do take a punt on the boutique, something that's not in the shops, or you want that to make sure that is a good experience for them when the thing happens. Like, you want to make sure that that's legit, because you're not just. And this is the problem I have with like a lot of people making a lot of clones all the time, and then just using like the big words and that to go like, here's why my one's better than everybody else's, and then it's just a tube scream or whatever to do the thing like the meme or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, because if you do that and you go in for a better amp, then you're going to make the argument, because you had a bad experience, you're going to make the argument that it doesn't make a lot of difference and these are finicky and they're pain in the bum or whatever. And so you're going to, and that's the word that gets around. That's the feeling, that's the zeitgeist. And then you end up with the hardcore who are committed anyway, because they're like, I want that one because Arctic Monkeys used it or whatever. And then you get the other people like, well, I can get it out of this thing. And if you're someone like trying to satisfy that demand for people and trying to create new experiences, like, you can't be doing with all of these like snake oil people around, like, just because they're turning people away from that place, which is like something new, and you discourage people from doing anything new. And like, I think that guy's got a solid point, about like discouraging people from buying better amps, because they'd have just been happy with line 6 Insane, and it doesn't help that the valve amps are difficult to play as well. Like, they're not. You get it. It's already a pain in the arse going from solid state to valve, because you've got to learn how to play the amp now as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's it's
like
going to deliver.
Yeah, it's going from a acoustic drum set to a digital drum set. Would drive somebody crazy.
Yeah. I don't know, but there's an interaction I find between like a good valve amp I don't know what's a bad valve amp. I've never really owned a particularly bad one, but Even my, do you know what? My first valve amp was like a tiny Tedder, like the 15-watt thing, and I had active pickups, mate, on this fucking Les Paul. We went to Dubai. The ship pulled in. We had like 3 days off, and me being me, instead of like paying my mortgage and stuff, I just went out on a piss and woke up 3 days later with this fucking guitar in bed with me. Limit LTD with active pickups and stuff. And I was like to the lads, "These fucking guitars, this," and they're like, "Well, you've been walking around playing it for 3 days." Yeah, I bought it. Mortgage money, brilliant.
Metallica, this lad.
I knew nothing about guitars at that point. I just started playing, so I had my tiny Tedder, these active pickups, and a tube screamer, and I was like, "This is brilliant. It sounds amazing."
Yes,
it didn't. It sounded terrible until I heard something better, but. The amp and the guitar on its own, what I mean is, it sounded amazing. So any valve amp, it sounds so much better because you can.
It's like,
there's the give and take from it. But I had the luxury of being on a warship where I can turn it up. So I think it was right now. Like my wife would absolutely strangle me if I turned my Showman on through a speaker. That thing would be gone. You know what I mean? So I get it. I do get it.
Yeah. My first valve amp was a Fender Champ. And boy, I thought 5 watts turned all the way up was gold. I was like, "Oh wow, this is the best thing ever," because you could get so much breakup, and it was like
AC4, man. I love my AC4.
AC4s are great. Yeah,
just there we go. Turn it up.
Yeah, just diamond.
There it is.
The mistake people make, the mistake people make is they think it's going to be quiet. Even a 1-watt valve amp is. Bloody
we've got one in the store. Shout out to Vintage Corner again here. They've got a 1-watt amp that, I mean, you plug it into a cabinet and you can't get it past 2 on the volume, but it's a 1-watt tube amp that's just built to break up as soon as you start cranking it. It's a doom amp is what it was marketed as, actually a 1-watt doom metal amp.
So for me, the hardest thing building pedals for people is you get the people like who are musicians who play out and use valve amps, and they quite obviously get the pedals that I make, like range masters, fuzz, overdrives, like they get the little nuances, so they use the guitar's volume for the start. I never do, but if you use your volume, all of this stuff becomes like real important. My difficulty is when you get someone who owns like the HD 500 and has bought like a pedal, like a range master to go in front of it, and they're like, "Doesn't sound any good, mate." Like, of course not.
Yeah, it's about the interaction there, isn't there?
The interplay, it can be very important.
The guitarist and I make a lot of my pedals. So the Scran, one of the big secrets of the Scran is that it's got a low Z input on it. Like,
nice. So you have a high Z and a low Z. That's pretty smart.
It's because I grew up playing the valve amps. I really like that like going through mud, feeling on your fingers, like so the input impedance is tuned to a point where I'm like, okay, I really like this, and it acts as a low pass filter as well to shift some of the things that cause you a problem later on that might affect like the gain structure. And the clean machine's the same. A lot of the stuff, like it's got this again, the low Z input acts as a low pass filter on the input, but then that obviously necessitates the idea that it's got to be like close to your guitar and whatever. And because I did the Scran, I've like strayed into kind of the non-boutique, that you kind of average guy kind of guitar pedal player who maybe doesn't know what impedance is. And what's really strange, actually, there's a saying that there is no contradictions. It's Francisco d'Anconia. Like, there is no contradictions. If you think you see a contradiction, check your premises. And I've checked my premises, and I cannot fathom this contradiction. And at the internet, when I'm on the internet, like when I was out in the world, right, my guys who I was working with, I had no idea what clipping was. They didn't even know what clipping was, right? Then when I got on the internet, everyone knows what clipping is, and guitar pedal companies are using it as a marketing thing. And I was like, yeah, but nobody knows what that is. So it seems like they're just marketing to them, and everyone doing it doesn't know what you're talking about, right? So then I was like, right, okay, well, so I made the thing that I was interested in, which is the thing. And then the guys out there, they just say, "Oh yeah, you've really got to play into it, haven't you? Cheers, man. Thank you very much." And the other people go in there, like they kind of, "Oh, it's a low Z input. You can't put a buffer near it." They got all the information, and yet like they don't like. implementing it, there's a disconnect to the point where I'm sending out pedals that have got this low Z input, which is key to the sound, and I think that's dead easy to deal with for me. And it seems like, looking at the inside, it seems like this is a really easy thing to deal with for people, and they've got the information. And yet, every day, I'd lad with an Epiphone, the worst, because it was £99, or it's at the low end of the boutique. It's not straying too far out. It had like an Epiphone Les Paul, and it sounded like a wank in a can. It was disgusting. He was sending me clips of it.
That's a t-shirt there, definitely. Sounded like a wank in a can.
It was horrible. He's trying to play it, and I'm just like, I hate to tell you this, but I don't think this is the band. And he's like, he loved the Oasis, and he loved it, and he was like, no, and it was so for him. Like, I've solved that issue. I've got like a V2 Scran coming out soon, where I've solved that issue, and it was just for this one guy, man. And like, and I was, because I felt so bad for him, because I was like, yeah, like, look, you need new pickups, or like something's going on with your guitar there, mate. Like, and it seems like all the information's out there, and I've just focused, again, like being the engineer or whatever, and being the guitarist, and being, I've just focused on that, trying to get that interactivity. This is why there's transformers and inductors in Scran and Clean Machine, is I'm trying to put as much of the signal chain on the kind of inverse square law as possible, because I know that the filters are acting on the valves, and this is like there's an electron, and there's a detector, and there's like, and the heat, it's heating up the element. There's a lag as it heats up. The electrons are emitted, and then they're detected, and I know there's a 1/r² business there. So I'm trying to put as much as I can onto that map, like in terms of the tone. And the thing is that what I really want to do, I want that kind of, when I'm playing the pedal, I want to feel like I'm not just playing it, like, and then the pedal's making a sound, and I'm causing the pedal to make a sound by playing, and I'm handing over to the pedal. I don't want that. I want the pedal to like to play with me, and I want the pedal to play with the amp. And
exactly.
That brings this like quirkiness to it that I don't think's mass market. And the problem is that I've become mass market with these things, and it's fucking annoying. Like, because I'm just having to explain, like, yeah, man, it's just try and feel it out, mate. But
yeah, I get it. It's difficult because, like they say, try and please everyone, you please no one.
Yeah,
you've got to pick a thing and go for it, and then it's either going to be the thing for people or not. But it's so hard to hear people go, "I bought this pedal, but it's not for me." As an engineer, it's like you're like, "What? That is the worst possible." Especially military engineer. There's nothing that like. You put me on a warship, and I'll make anything work, and it'll work forever while I'm there. And that rejection's like, it really gets you, doesn't it? Like,
for me, there's a little bit. For me, there's a little bit of me in there where I'm just like, but I forgive myself very quickly because I know I'm boss. Like, so I'm okay with that, because I know what I know, and so, but what makes me feel bad is the idea that this person, because I get a lot of first timers as well. A lot of people go, "Oh, did it come with a power supply?" And you're like, "No, pedals come with power supplies, mate." They're expecting it to
not
turn
anymore.
up, and they're like,
yeah.
"I didn't know I needed an extra cable." You're like, "I know, mate, I know." So I get a lot of like new people who are new to it, and this is the first time they're straying out, and it's that negative experience again.
Yeah.
And it's that I don't want to burst the bubble, and I'm like, I feel really bad for them because they've strayed outside, they've gone for something cool, and they're like, I want the Oasis sound, I want this, and I didn't sell them the Oasis sound, somebody else did one, and I'm just going, yeah, like, and I feel so bad for them, and so like I'm on like a journey at the minute, like, to try and like, without being offensive, like, to just try and make,
I just go for it, be offensive,
as user friendly as possible, as to make my pedals as user friendly as possible, like, normie-ize them. Yeah. So like,
it'd be so hard for someone just to pick up one of my pedals and know how to use it, especially something like a fuzz, because obviously if you're putting in your signal chain, anything before it doesn't play with that. All of these, so it's like what Chris Vincent was saying last week or the week before, R2R Electric. He said that when he blew up, he was getting a lot of customers that he didn't want because they didn't understand the product, and he was spending a lot of time saying, "This isn't really for you because this is how you use it, and that's not how you play guitar," type thing.
It's like this is not going to do what you think it's going to do until you crank it up. And
Mate,
that's such a brave thing to say, like throwing his part. Like I really respect that.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
I mean,
unbelievable.
It's a good way to weed out problems, because I went through that trying to please everyone with my guitar repairs or my guitar builds and stuff, and you get some people that you just realize you're not going to be able to do what they want you to do. And it's better to say no than to try and keep, deluding yourself and deluding them. So,
but what I don't like is if someone's, as you say, straight out of their standard, whatever effects unit, and they've gone, I'm going to get this unusual pedal and spend all this money, and then they go, actually, he's ripped me off. That's what I don't want. I don't want anyone to think I've ripped them off, because they're not, the way that they use it isn't the way that it's meant to be used. So,
the problem is so much of this game is a scam. Like, I don't want to be put out
I mean,
there.
really, it is.
So much of it is just snake oil. And we got the snake oil. And I know that like chappers and whatever tried to do I saw they did a snake oil pedal where the graphic was stuck on with a sticker, like an box. And I was going, is this ironic? Like, and then they were like,
I think that was the point.
Yeah,
is that not the point?
I don't know.
I love the clean tone pedal. Have you seen the clean tone?
No, what's that?
It's a pedal enclosure, and it's got a jack directly wired to another jack. It's just like jack to jack, no LED, no foot switch. It's just like it's the clean tone. That's all you need. Yeah, jack to jack.
What I don't like is the expensive pedals that are like ridiculously expensive, £300, say, and it's a clone of a famous pedal, amazing. But then when you open it up, it's all just SMD. It's just the exact pedal. It could be a Donna pedal or something like that, just in a big enclosure. You're like, I feel like I've just
I really hate as well. Like, I'm just gonna put this out there, right? And we I was talking to John before about like not getting political and that, but I'm just gonna pop my flag in here because it's about pedals, right? I really despise, right, these people that go on like, oh, the Donna Mosky horse or whatever. Like, it's just as good as the one Platumnus or whatever. Like, yeah, man. But everyone who made that pedal was a slave, right? And a machine was making it, and like nothing about this thing whatsoever is going to anyone who gives a shit about this industry. So maybe. Yeah. Buy from one place, you pay a little bit more, but you make the more things, and the thing that everyone is buying is just a copy of somebody actually good who gives a shit. So why don't you just support the people who give a shit? And so you open it up and it's just an SMD like mess or whatever of just a clone of a big muffler. I mean, you paid 20 quid for it on Amazon. Fuck that, you're a criminal. Like, stop doing that. Just buy an Electro Harmonix big muff. It's perfectly reasonable. 70, 80 quid. Everyone there's like, they're famously not unionized, but all right, sound whatever. They've got good working conditions.
But they're real people.
Like, they're real people who care about this industry. They work within it. Like, feed them. Don't feed the machine somewhere else. Yeah. Like, just. Well,
do you know what highlighted this for me? Have you seen the recent that pedal show Keeley episode?
No.
So he goes.
He goes where Dan's on the road. Yeah,
Dan's out in America.
He's over on our side here.
Keeley's factory. Yeah, and they're like cutting enclosures, making components, like everything's done in house, and they're showing. And they've scaled it up. He's like, this is a family business, so it's people's kids who work here are going to work here, and it's going to be the next generation, and everything that they innovate is in house. And I'm like, and it's massive now. It's like warehouses of like.
What company is this? Sorry,
it's Keeley.
Keeley. When you say making components, though, what do you mean?
Like everything.
They make the resistors.
I thought they were making components.
Are they?
I don't know.
I don't
know. It depends. Maybe. I think that's a little.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe I got the wrong end of the stick there, but the stuff that they're doing there is like.
They might be installing components. They might be populating boards by hand, that kind of thing. But
like knobs and stuff like that. They're not.
Oh well, they might be doing that. Yeah.
Like the injection molding and whatever.
Yeah.
Luke, do you know Stone Deaf Effects within the UK? Sorry, John. Sorry. Luke in Stone Deaf has got like a PCB. He gets SMD. It's all SMD, yeah. But it's like he does it in house. He's got the machine. Mm-hmm. He's got the whole thing. He's got everything contained. So
see,
that might be what Keeley's doing, is making their own SMD boards, because that is something that the technology is available for that scale. Yeah,
prints it out exactly what you said. So it's like an arm that picks up the component.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is people who buy buy the boards from China. Like,
yeah, that's a whole different ball of
attach a few
wax.
wires to it, and
Yeah.
then it's a boutique pedal.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I do. Like, this is so all of these things here, like these are made in China. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's only because people think about like what
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
not
your
doing.
design.
This is my design. What I'm not doing.
That's
is
what I
making
mean.
a
It's
big
not.
muff.
You haven't got a tube screamer made in
Joe's
China, and then you're just attaching some wires.
Joe's talking about like
That-
taking apart a Joyo pedal and then repackaging it.
Yeah,
This is-
so you go
yeah.
to the Joyo factory and say, "Send me 500 of these PCBs," and then they just wire them up. That's not your design.
No.
You know
And
what I mean?
the thing is that like the technology to produce this kind of thing with this array of components, like so at this level where I'm at now, this kind of thing, like I can do over there, no problem. The skills are there, the tolerances that these can produce to. UK manufacturers cannot do this at the minute. Like the tolerances that they can produce to are absolutely incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And
Taiwan is like the mecca for it. Taiwan is like got the PCB market wrapped up.
But other areas in China, mate. See, people think, oh, China is cheap labor. It's not anymore. Labor in China is really expensive. It's really skilled now. It's completely the other way. It's other areas that are cheap labor. Well, the Chinese workers are like super skilled in exactly this PCB.
Well, and two, like you still have a lot of manufacturing capability left over from Hong Kong. You know, like after the UK turned over Hong Kong to the CCP. Like they still had all the manufacturing capabilities and everything that were there, like, you know, that made Hong Kong such a powerhouse in electronics.
My brother lives in where is it? He lives in China, but I can't remember the province. I want to say Kunming or I think it's anyway, I don't know. He lives over in China and he's like that's mad. My little brother.
It's funny, we're talking about China and I've got my kung fu
Mate, honestly, my little brother's like the weirdest kid you've ever met. He didn't fit in anywhere. Like it's like he did these little models that you paint. That was his like thing. And he just didn't fit in. And now he's gone to China. He's like a rock star because he's like exotic over there. I don't know. He's been over there for years, mate.
This is my brother. He hates coming over here because he's nobody. You know, he's just like, goes there, like...
Honestly, it's mad. And when he does come home, we go out for like a meal or whatever. People can't understand that he can speak Chinese. So they'll be talking in the restaurants or whatever, and he'll say something to them, and they're all like, what just happened? But yeah, he's lived there for years, and he's saying that the skilled labor there is like way skilled, which is why we can't move manufacturing from there to here because we haven't got the skills. We haven't got it.
I've got no problem with them doing the manufacturing. In fact, that's how I do. Right, because the skills are there, the machines are there, the sunk cost is there for the factory. What annoys me specifically is like you want a tube screamer, buy it from Ibanez, right? Like minimum should be from them. They designed it. If you want to go boutique, if there's something about it that you want changing or whatever, if the TS9DX isn't doing it, go somewhere else. I don't like
JSA effects, mate. If the tube screamers, you'll have to go to
buy it from him. Buy it from him.
Buy it from Simon.
Honestly, his prices are cheaper than bloody Ibanez. And I've got a tube screamer over there. That is the best tube screamer in the world. 100%.
Because it is, you know why? Because he gives a shit.
Yeah.
And you've given him money, and now he can build more and that's a good thing. You've supported someone who gives a shit. And that's
just reminded me, actually. I've got a message and he sent me a pedal the other day. It's literally over there on my desk. I've been playing it. I've messaged him to say cheers.
What's he saying?
I need to see if mine came yet or not. Like I've been like anxiously waiting. Like of course, it'll probably take longer for mine to get here than Joe's. So.
Without doubt, yeah.
I'll get it. I'm in the middle of filming with it. I don't want to mess with it. You'll all see soon.
But I don't want to know what it is yet.
Okay. I was going to be like, tell me.
Because
I know it'll ruin the filming because I've kind of put on there. Write in the comments what you think this is. So
okay.
Let's keep it a secret for now. Mum's the word, mate.
But he sent me his what's his clone thing, the horse whisperer, years ago.
Mate, yeah.
Those things are amazing. I still get people like stare at me in disbelief.
There you go.
Tell them about what he did.
Op-amp clone.
Yes, mate. So I've got number one, the very first one he did.
Behave.
So he sent me it to try with a few other pedals, and I sent him a picture back saying, well, basically, what do you want for this pedal? But it was already on
wanted
my
the pedal
board.
back.
I was like, I'm keeping it. There's Velcro on it. It was on my board. I was like, you're not getting this back. What can I give you now? Because it's that good. I turned it on, and when my lad was 8, we used to sit there plugging pedals in, buying pedals, trying them out or whatever. And we both looked at each other, and he was like, "You keeping that one on, your dad?" Yes, I am. Fantastic.
It's a lovely pedal. I needed a reference for a clon, and I just do you know what? Like, Simon's one of these people. He's when I first got into the business, I got on Instagram, and he's one of these people. And I remember looking at his account, and he was like, he's done this and this and this, and he was listing the pedals. I remember looking, I just thinking, this guy, mate, this guy knows everything. I know nothing about pedals. Like, I didn't really use them. I was an amp guy. I didn't have too many of them. I'd never really done anything with them. I just made this pedal because I can do electronics, and I'd made myself a pedal one day because I wanted a certain sound. Okay, and then I ordered 50 of them because that was the minimum order quantity for the enclosures, and I needed to sell 49 of them. Do you know what I mean? Not arse, like just trying to slog like 49 of them. So I got on the Instagram, like, yeah, I need to flog these 49 pedals, and I remember like seeing him and just being like, this guy, man, he knows like the ins and outs of every pedal going. You know, like he's mixing and matching them together. And
so when we used to have these deep conversations over text for like hours and hours. In the middle of the night, I'd be building, and he'd be messaging me, try this, try that. And he must have thought, this guy's really ignorant, because I'm messaging him, I can see he's read it, and he's not fucking replying straight away. It's taking me maybe an hour. And that's because I'm on the internet trying to not look like a dick, because I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? I'm like, if I'd have had ChatGPT, I could have just said, my mate Simon said this. What the fuck is he talking about? Because and it would have told me, and I wouldn't have looked stupid. But I'd spend hours researching, and my wife would be like, just tell him you don't understand, and he'll explain it to you. Like, no. I don't want him to think I'm stupid. And then, sometimes you just have to say, look, Simon, mate, I have no clue. Tell me. Plug me into the matrix, please, mate.
I message him all the time, all the time. Simon, do us a favor. There was a Sketchy. So Sketchy, so this is the signal board. They say it's mix horses for courses. What can be SMD? There's SMD. There's designed within the tolerances. There's all different resistor sized, because I've tried to maximize the footprint by calculating every resistor, basically what the power dissipation factor needs to be, and then optimizing from there. And then the capacitors are in here. So then I got the screen a bit on the back. So you got this microcontroller here, a little power supply. No, hang on, where am I? There we go. Little power supply up here, doing some split rail stuff. Little 3.3 volt, 5 volt for the microcontroller. This is the shake, the accelerometer, and this is the brain behind the whole thing. And this is how you program it through this bit here. Now this brain here, this thing went out of stock. I spent so long working on the thing.
Oh no!
That it became it got an NRND stamp on it. I know it's got a big old red stamp, and I was like, I can't make this anymore. So I managed to make 75 of them, and then I had to redesign in its entirety Sketchy, because the brain was gone. So so this is the prototype. This is the new prototype of Sketchy, and it's got this new brain chip in it up here. And the problem was, this brain chip now I got 250 of them for I think about £1.60 a unit, and this does a lot of stuff. It's a very different job, basically. So the whole thing's, and the problem is that it's got 3 less GPIO, so general purpose in-outs. And the problem with that is that one of the in-outs is controlling the LED, the bypass LED. See this one here. So when you switch on the white LED, it's on a separate pin. So the way you work in code is that you have a board, and then you control the numbers on the board essentially. And then there's a load of other stuff looking at the board, and it responds to whatever the number is. So bypass, what that looks like is you hit the switch, the controller here, you hit that. This goes in and it changes the state. It changes the number in the board over there from a 0 to a 1, for example. And now there's a pin that's been programmed to look at that board and then go, when this board is a 0, turn this LED off, and when this board is a 1, turn this LED on. So it looks like the first switch is attached to the LED, but it isn't. They're just one's programming the board.
That's maddening.
Looking at the board. So it's a really powerful way of coding in C++. It's called pointers and arrays. And like if you're gonna code in C++, everything has to boil down to basically pointers and arrays, and it's a really powerful thing because you're literally manipulating memory on the thing. It's very like unabstracted. I don't know what the words. It's deep. It's a deep coding language. In fact, Microsoft is programmed on it. So, and Mac OS is coded on it. It's really powerful for driving hardware. It is the one you want to use.
It is, yeah.
So your Sketchy's coded in C++. And the problem is because of that pin for that was gone. It wasn't there anymore because I had less pins on this controller. So I had to turn this light on, and I've got a DP-DT relay for the bypass. So I now needed, because I couldn't mechanically connect it to this relay. Like if it's a 3PDT, wouldn't be a problem.
Wouldn't be a problem at all.
It's a 2PDT. So then the solution obviously is do mechanically connect it rather than having the board and the pointers. Do mechanically connect it and use the Millennium bypass. So I was like, okay, great. So luckily on the output of Sketchy, there's a 10K like drop resistor on the output. So that kind of worked. And I was still looking at it. I was just going, what is going on here? I think because I know electronics, but I don't know pedals actually. Not very well at all. I'm a mix engineer. I know audio. I know electronics. I don't know anything about pedals essentially. So or like amps or whatever. So when you said the rocket, I was like, I don't know what that is. The wet dry. I didn't even know what that was. You know, like I'm just I'm off, right? So yeah, so I had to message Simon and say like, what's this Millennium bypass? And it wasn't just a Millennium bypass. I was designing the Scran, and I didn't want to put another chip in there. Scran V2, by the way. There's a V2 coming. I seen you post about Oasis earlier, lad. Do you mind if I just?
Yeah. I love him.
Look at that.
Oh, mate, that's fucking class.
So this,
beautiful.
So this, do you mind if I get the screwdriver out and show you like the inside?
Yeah, go
hey, that's what we're all about. That's what the show is all for, mate.
Todd from the Guitar Knobs is going to absolutely cream over that pedal. He's the biggest Oasis fan, and so in the back, I don't know if you can see it in the background here. I made like a sound absorber for the room, but that's the pedal that I built for him, and he just loves the Union Jack. It's like his favorite thing. It's
that. So what I was like, so when I was designing this one, so I had to, I wanted to do like the ultimate Oasis pedal. So naturally, I had to look like Noel Gallagher's Epiphone, you know, from that iconic image. I even got like the white borders on there, and then I had to get the Decca, you know, the logo and that.
Yeah.
But the soft knobs disappeared, so you can see there because nobody knew what that was doing anyway. And then we got this thick gain 2, no like thick beans toast or whatever actual knob names. So this has got a pickup simulator inside it as well.
Oh,
so
nice!
You can defeat the pickup simulator on or off. You can select single coil or humbucker as well. There's 2.1 is single coil, 2.1 Henry's a single coil, and 4.2 for the humbucker. And then you've got a little thing to tune that up as well, you know, to match it to your coils or whatever. And up there we can see over here now this little bit here, that's a discrete op amp tube screamer. So now on the input of Scran, you can defeat the low impedance by using a tuned a pickup simulator. And now if you want to, you can just flick that up into this mode, and you replace that low Z input JFET thing with a tube screamer, a discrete op amp tube screamer instead. That's up there, and that is fucking beautiful. And like,
so now that's how you got past the old tone with the Epiphone Les Paul.
The which, sorry?
That's the workaround that what you're talking about.
This is what I had to do for this guy. I used that instead. Use that. Like, this is it. Yeah. That's so I was like, so this is my solution, because I was like, I felt so bad for this guy. And everybody since, really, or everyone before, who just didn't want to say anything. You know, like, you just kind of like, this is shit. Oh well, I won't message him because that's a bit harsh. Like, but I'll just sell it. Like, I thought, well, there's probably loads of them as well, so I get them on there like that. And it was Simon again. I messaged him like the discrete op amp. I said, mate, like, I need something that's not quite so. I don't want anything too loady, like my input from my low Z input. I don't want it too high input in the fact that I'm handing the control over to the pedal. I want something kind of in between, you know, kind of nice. And he was like, have you tried the discrete op amp? And so I just said, well, what's that? And so we got chatting about discrete op amps, and then there was something else. What was there? There was a mu amp, was there?
Yeah,
I was trying to linearize the output from J201s because the JFETs are annoying. And I was like, well, how do you do that? Yeah, the mu amp. I'm on to him all the time, man. He's like my
so good
pedal reference guru guy.
He really is.
Pedal
We're gonna have to
have
him on when Joe's off for the next one. Because the next episode, you still have an appointment, don't you, Joe? Like you're out for the next one. So we're gonna have to have Simon come on and maybe get some other people come on, like, and it would be good to see what Simon's been working on recently too.
I'm almost pissed off that I'm going to miss this episode because you're like, there's loads of people have been like, oh, I'll jump in. I'm like, fuck, there's all these good fucking. I'll be watching it instead of.
Well, the great thing is you won't just have to sit here on the podcast with your jaw open as Simon like dispenses information and wisdom.
Oh, mate,
you can do that at your leisure on the train.
when we did that Troop Screamer episode with him,
we just shut up and just let him talk. Yeah.
So we were going through the circuit like from start to finish, and he's talking about the 20k tone pot or whatever, and he's like, these are really hard to get now. So you just change these 5 components and use a 1k pot instead, and it has this ring. He's just doing the calculations out just off the top of his head, like, whoa, sweet child of mine, slow down. The fuck is just happened? I've been back and watched that episode like 5 times now. I'm like, right, slow this down now. Listen to this bit, digest it. Right now, I'll try and. He's just, and we did an op amp episode with him about making your own op amps. Because I had this idea that I was gonna like make a little op amp board and use that in my pedals just instead of buying op amps. And he twisted my brain so much that I'm just like, fuck that, I'm buying an op amp.
They're really good. This is it. So I've only gone with a discrete op amp mainly because I bought I think it was about 3,000 J201s, and the discrete op amp needs 2, and then I need 1 for the Scran. And I was like, I should probably try and use these instead of like a bill optimizer, like a bomb optimization bill of materials, and and it's a really nice thing. I personally, it feels a little. It's not as tight. It's a bit looser, but it still does what it's supposed to do. It's still hands over. If you were to stack the pedals, the interactivity, as mad as this sounds now, after I was talking about the amps and the pedals and everything like that, in this context, the interactivity is minimal. And for stacking, a lot of people they love the stacking. And so the brief for stacking is minimal interactivity on the input and output. Yeah. So like it doesn't, when it plays well with others or it doesn't, is all about gain staging, and the frequency content going into the next one, and can you control that or can you not control that? Like it's not about this is a low Z input, and if you put a button before, it's not about this anymore. It's like, and the DOA, the discrete op amp, it works really nice for that. And I've just, did I tell you I invented a Timmy this week? I invented the Timmy.
You invented it.
I invented the Timmy.
It's like
this
it's
week.
Like that. Yeah, it's like that time that I wrote The Air That I Breathe.
Did you?
I realized like I'd written this incredible song. It's like I just wrote the fucking Hollies. Oh, great!
An incredible song.
At least I caught it before Tom York.
Wow. So I was looking.
If you know any about that story, eh?
No.
Radiohead got sued by the Hollies for stealing The Air That I Breathe for Creep.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The exact melody and everything. Yeah.
Mate, if Oasis can take Blackbird and completely change it, Don't Look Back in Anger. Surely there isn't an.
They have to change it enough. See, the melody was like note for note.
Oh, was it?
Oh yeah. In Creep. And
so I know Creep, but I'm not too sure on the Hollies.
Oh yeah, you are. Sometimes all I need is the air that I breathe.
That's the refrain, but the verse is what they got sued over.
It's an advert song to me, though.
Yeah, the verse.
The
melody for the verse. Butlins and that. Get it on. Now, what's annoying is that they keep putting like the strokes on Butlin's adverts now. I'm like,
yeah,
it's ruined the strokes.
I'm getting old now, aren't I?
I know. Well, it's like when I started seeing Led Zeppelin show up on Cadillac commercials. Like, what is this world coming to?
You've got enough money to buy a Cadillac now, old man.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
What is it? Led Zeppelin, is it? Is that what you like? Yeah, there you go. Mate.
There you go.
Give me your money. I'll give you a Cadillac.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's sensible.
I mean, yeah, of course it is. Like adverts with the old man with the lad with the two kids and that, and the Strokes are playing. I'm like, oh, yeah.
I feel old now.
I'm still in denial, though. I still don't feel old.
I hate it. My wife's like 10 years younger than me, so she's really not old. And like 40 years old, she's like, you're a fucking old man. Like, yeah.
Oh, you don't know what you're doing, though, that makes you an old man. You just think you're being entirely reasonable.
I know.
Which is an old man thing to say.
Well, technically, I should be retired. I'm a pensioner now. So I suppose that makes me an old man. You know what I mean?
You're a pensioner?
Done. Well, it should be, yeah. So the Navy give you a pension the day that you leave. I've done my 22 now. So really, if I leave tomorrow, I just get a full pension, and that'll be me.
Could you retire now then?
Well, no, because I live on the south coast and I pay a mortgage, but my pension isn't that good. But yeah,
okay. I didn't know one tell me this.
But I would have a full pension, so like I don't know what it is. It's like 13k a year or something. I think
that'll do.
Mate, it's better than nothing. I'll take it.
Yeah. That's class.
That and a few pedals. That's the life's ambition, mate, is to be a house husband on my pension and building a few pedals. That'll do me.
Glory, hallelujah. That's lovely, that. I'd do that.
The problem is, mate, I can't give up the uniform. It's too easy. You don't have to think. Like, as a sound engineer, you're probably going to work and have to do work. I sit behind the desk, edit YouTube videos, and tell people off for not marching. Make sure you're marching. No, sorry, Chief. Gone. That's it. My job over. It's fantastic.
I'm not a sound engineer anymore. I stopped that about 7 years ago, I'd say. Yeah, I had a venue when I was working on the Pride of Rotterdam, and then my gig finished. So I rang a mate and I just rang around, said who's got anywhere to live. My mate said, I'm in Liverpool. I said, okay, yeah. So he said, listen, I'm off to China for a gig, so there's a house free. Do you want to jump in it? I said, yeah. So I jumped in there. And then I had a venue, Renshaw Street. It's the one with Elvis Costello painted on it. I had a little venue in the back of there. Me and Neil Tilley sorted that out. I was doing that for a couple of years because I was like, okay. But I managed to get a job at the uni in the electronics lab. Got a job as a technician in the electronics lab. Yeah. And then because I went in as a glass washer. Like just taking an interview, and then I mentioned in the interview I do electronics and that, and they were like, "Come and have a look at this." They took me in the lab. They were like, "Yeah, have a look at this." I started talking to them about it, and then they just offered me the job. And then within about 4 or 5 months, I got chatting to one of the lads in the nuclear labs, and a professor, and he said he turned around to my boss apparently and said, "Yeah, he's the lad. Get him in." So then they gave me a promotion, and so now I'm in charge of the nuclear labs at the Uni of Liverpool now. So I don't.
That's class.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, man. And it's all just like it's like sound engineering, but with like atoms. So I just do like just like, rather than a PA system, I've got like a high purity germanium detector, and I'm just like, telling it, is that what you're looking for? Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. I've got a job on next week. Well, I'm sorry.
No, go on. I'm just trying to work out.
He's just trying to wrap his head around this.
Yeah. So are you like on the floor teaching this stuff, or are you like running a lab? If you know what I mean.
Bit of both. Yeah. So the labs are mine to look after. So we've got a lot of money's worth of equipment. Each one of these. I don't know how much I can talk about what I've got, but I've got quite a lot of stuff. It's all like secret squirrel stuff and that. Like, but got quite a bit of stuff, and then so I maintain it. So yeah, I've got a job on next week. I've got these like multi-channel analyzers. They're basically like £16,000 boxes that like when the radioactive thing hits the germanium detector, it sends a signal out, and this thing turns that signal into like something like some kind of quantitative, like qualitative analysis, something you can look at and be like, that's that, this is that, and this is how much of it there is,
Like a spectrometry or something like that.
There we go, mate. That's the word. Yeah. It's a high resolution gamma spectroscopy is my field. So like, so then these things are like dropping resolution recently. And weirdly, nobody in the labs thought of recapping the power supplies, and they've been running for 11 years. Like 24 hours a day. So the drop in resolution, like, the whole thing relies on like a pulse height analysis. So as the gamma ray comes in, hits the crystal, it generates like a voltage, and that voltage corresponds to the energy of the gamma photon that comes in. And so like from the height that it goes up from the ground, you can tell exactly, like, if you calibrate it correctly, you can tell what the energy of the gamma photon was, and from that you can tell, like, essentially, if you put a cesium-137 source up there, like, and you calibrate it against that, if you put an environmental source on there, you can see if there's any cesium-137 calibration, because a big old spike pops up where you calibrated it from before. So, like, these things are running, and it's all this super smart stuff and that. And they just the resolution's dropping, so the peaks are getting wider. These are like research grade detectors. Peaks are getting wider, and the drift and the calibration is drifting a little bit because it's the pulse height analysis, because it's a voltage change. If your power supply line is fluctuating, right, then this is unstable, and so like the resolution widens because you don't know whether it's which side of which is falling where.
That's the thing that like always boggled my mind is, like, I'm using measuring equipment to measure electronics that's made of electronics, like, that's only as good as the measuring equipment that was first invented to discover what any electronic component ever was. Like, what's the very, like, baseline, everything's based off of that. So it's like, you know, your measurements are only as good as the components that were developed off of that initial discovery.
Yep.
So, like, are we leaving things
well characterized along the way? Everything you need to know, every component in the chain. You need to know everything about that bloody thing to make sure that the thing works. So stuff just doesn't work.
It's like, you know, if you're gonna test like a capacitor with a capacitor tester that incorporates a whole bunch of capacitors, and it's got a whole bunch of capacitors in it. Like, do you know if the capacitors that you're testing the capacitor with are the right capacitors? It's like, quantum rabbit hole begin.
The question is, what did they think was going wrong with it?
It was just an observation. Like, one of them blew, and obviously the cap, the electrolytics dried out, like splurged, and then just.
We talked about this last time too. Yeah. DJ Lava Lamp and I was telling them, like, a lot of the old caps, like, even, you know, if they've never been powered up, you got to replace them because the old electrolytics, they just don't last.
The electrolyte dries out in these ones. They've been. I turned around to them and said to them, like, it popped. So we got the service, like, back. It was like nearly $2,000 for the service, and I've got 16 of these things in my lab. And so I looked at them and I said, like, hang on. So which caps? So we looked at it. I said, when was the last time you recapped them? And he went, we've never recapped them. I said, like, look, man, these things are on 24 hours a day. We offer industry training courses as well for anyone that might be interested in this stuff. Like, they come to us for training. And so, you know, it was like, hang on, what do you mean you never thought of recapping it? So then we did. So I looked, and these things, they've been running for 24 hours a day for 13 years. I said, so the best ones in the world will give you 100,000 hours, which is 11.4 years ish. So, like, these are over, and, like, luckily we don't power cycle them, so there's no peaks and, you know, like, bangs. I said to them, these are all gonna go now. Like, so yes, I've got a job on next week now. I've got to switch them all off. I've got to take apart all the boxes and recap a bunch of high-res gamma spec multi-channel analyzers.
That's class.
That's
so great. The question is, are you gonna use F&T caps or what?
Well, I've got to do both. So what I said to them was, look, you need to equip me so I can do this now. It's going to cost you $2,000 per box to do it. I can do it, but I need, like, solder tweezers. Really, I need the equipment to do it. So I just said, all right, sound order it. So I've just spent $2,000 on a new, like, soldering station.
Class.
That work have just bought for me. So I'm pretty, like, I'm actually quite looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be
that's a new adventure. That sounds like a great thing.
It's an adventure if I get it right. It's a fucking nightmare if I fuck it up. Like,
well, that's what adventures are.
Yeah, man.
What type of caps are they though? Are they what brand? Sorry, not that.
I haven't seen the brand. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to open them up, respec them. Basically, we're waiting for them to send me the cap. The one that they fixed, they said that they've respec'd it now. So it's got to come in, and I've got to have like pull it, have a look, see what the caps are, get them ordered, get an RS for that next day or whatever, find out what they are. So I'll let you know exactly. It'll be on my Instagram.
Interesting.
Somebody was asking, I was talking to somebody about it, and they were saying, yeah, get on your Instagram. I try and do like a bit of like tech stuff on my stories. You know, I don't really do too much in the main feed, but I try and do some tech stuff in the stories. I'll get it on in there, and I'll document it along the way. Like, should be quite a fun job.
It's interesting because the military use a lot of tantalum, like electrolytic style caps, but tantalum ones for no other reason than they probably were the most expensive at the time, and he thought these will last forever. So I'm just wondering if that's what they've done. They've used like that sort of.
They are aluminium electrolytics, yeah.
Oh,
they're the big old chunky things.
The cannies,
yeah, that's it, yeah. So I don't know. There is oh man, I was hoping we'd end up on capacitors. You know, there is there's a lot to be said about like the difference in materials between tantalum and the aluminium electric, the aluminium electrolytic. And I don't know, with these guys, what you've got to do is you've got to do like for like, because the characterization needs to be so specific in order to get the frequencies that these things are operating at. Like, if they use that capacitor, you're using that capacitor for whether you understand why or not. But there is a massive difference between all of them, and I guess you hope that they're using it for the right reasons, not just they're the good ones. And
well, you don't know if they've built everything around that being reacting in a certain way. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong; it's what they use. So everything else is built to that.
That's it, yeah.
That's the kicker right there. It's not whether or not it's the optimal part for the job. It's the part they use that worked with all the other parts that, you know, are part of the whole thing. Like,
because I mean, nowadays I imagine they just use AI and design something down to a T without ever building it. Well, like for example, the new. I mean, obviously we'd be demonetized now talking about bombers, but the new bombers you Americans have been like under budget and ahead of time because they've done it all online, like on computer AI generated, and then
all the others were under budget and on time too. They just didn't tell you.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is, though,
I mean, you know, under the free and that, like, go on,
you know, they were
UK military. Everything that we get is like behind budget and 3 times as expensive. So. Do you know what I mean? But it's mad.
HS2, that's all I'm saying. Like,
it's one of those things too, where, you know, with component technology, it's like, where's the limitations of what we're gonna like reach before we start going to a different kind of technology? Like, have we reached the limits of, like you say, tantalum and aluminum electrolytic and silicon, those kind of things? Like, is there another material that we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of? So
definitely.
And then there's one other question on the end of that. When can we start implementing it into guitar pedals?
As soon as I get my hands on it, that's what it is. That's the goal for me now. I'm just like, guitar pedals is like a vehicle where I frame whatever project I'm working on in terms of guitar pedals. That's it.
It's when I go on Reverb later and there's like X nuclear test diode or capacitor pedal for sale under a no-name account.
You should see what I'm working on at the minute. I can't really like. I mean, we're on a pedal podcast now. I'm sure nobody knows, but we're working on. We just got funding for a project through to work on to standardize and redesign all of the school science equipment. Like, the schools are using at the minute. Like, just standardize, open source it, and then distribute the lot. Just be like, put every equipment manufacturer charging that massive margin out of business by open sourcing the entire curriculum's hardware. And we've just got the budget through to develop that now. So it's like, I'm the reason I was using that STM32 is because I'm like, so I've got to burn through loads of microcontrollers to find out what it is that's the right one for the job that can do all of these things to build around it. But like, you can bet your arse that every time along the way, I'm just like, yeah, okay, I can do this with it. This I'm in work, and somebody comes in and goes, "What are you doing?" Oh, I'm sampling a signal from a rear manipulator in real time and then putting it back into the control center. Nobody knows what I'm saying. Nobody knows what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Carry
They go,
on.
all right, sound yeah, see you in a bit. Yeah, I'm making a pedal, lad, like all day. It's like, right, guys. And then somebody else gets the thing out of it instead over there. Like, all right, okay.
That's fantastic. Oh man, I tell you what, the schooling over here, the charge that for like kit. I used to teach hydraulics for the Navy, and their rigs and stuff were hundreds of thousands of pounds just on a rig, and then to buy the software, which was just a bloody CD, it wasn't even anything good.
Yeah,
that goes in, and it's like it's basically just a textbook. I could write it myself, and it's not relevant to the Navy at all. And they paid thousands for that stuff, and they had people coming over for conferences to implement it. Like fucking hell, it was ridiculous. So fair play if you put them all out of business. I'm happy.
Mate, that's me. I put forward the proposal. I was like, I need to get into DSP here. Like, I really want to make a digital pedal. Like, okay, well, it'd be nice if somebody else paid for it. Right, let's see what we can do here. Like,
man, that's so much more technical than my approach to pedals. I literally just take a circuit, chop bits up of it, like, oh, I like the input stage of this. Oh, look at the clipping stage of this. Chop them all together, and then
I love your approach to pedals, man. Like all you guys, man. I wouldn't be chatting to you like if I thought you were like knobheads, you know. I'd be like,
you're like you're the link between Simon and like a regular human being, if you know what I mean. Because I can imagine he would just, like he says, this late night Simon, and he's just like spitting out ideas, and a big company needs to take him, sit him in a room and say, start writing now and don't stop until you've depleted everything that you know about pedals on a textbook, so we can then go away, give that to our engineers, and different departments can create these pedals. There's a company there, you know what I mean?
There is. It's one of them where I think didn't he he was making pedals with PCBs recently. Hot Toddy, 100 on the Hot Toddy the other day. Awesome. I know, it's fucking made up for him, lad. I was like, yes, come on,
I know.
Keep going, lad. Keep going.
Well, a guy that I speak to online, I think he's out in Canada. I don't actually know. He was like, look, Simon's a great guy. I think he's buying like a £20 soldering iron. It's breaking, and then he's buying.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Over and over again, and I was like, what the? And he said, I'm thinking about doing like a charity. We all put a bit of cash in. We buy him a good soldering iron. Like, yeah, whatever, I'm in. And nothing happened. There was nothing going on. Like, what's happening with this thing? Nothing. And in the end, I just fucking took it over. I was like, I can't keep waiting for him to buy him this soldering iron. And so I collected a bit of cash out, and I was like to the lads, which soldering iron is it that you think Simon's going to want? Because you speak to him a lot. And he picked this fucking thing, mate, like a wireless one. It's like rechargeable, all this fancy stuff that, to me, it's over my head. I just have a wired thing, whatever. And he's like, Simon, I like this one. And if I get him it, send him it. It's off all of us, great. This guy still hasn't paid for his part of it, which is fantastic. So he came up with an idea, spoke to me about it for so long that I took it over and did it for him. And then he actually bought the wrong soldering iron because Simon's like, it's too heavy, I can't hold it. Because obviously he's a frail guy. Like, for fuck's sake, all of that fucking running around. He can't even use the soldering iron. Fucking raging. But yeah, he's such a nice guy. He sent me so much stuff through the years. Like every time he designs something new, he just sent me it. It's madness. Yeah, I think, did you see the fuzz that he discovered? Someone had sent him in at a tone bender. It was a tone bender, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
A prototype.
Yes, the prototype. That was super cool.
Like the Lost Bender.
Yeah, the Lost Bender.
It's looking like Solar Sound are going to release it. So I hope that they give him the props.
Yeah,
for like discovering it out there, and they don't just go, "Oh, here's a pedal that we've made years ago. Now we're releasing it." I hope he's involved
because he did the sleuth work. He really did this. Well, we've got the documented evidence, as long as they don't delete our old video talking about it, because we talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if they try and like, do the we don't know who Simon is, like, we've got the proof.
The thing is, though, if I opened up an old toe bender and like just seen the circuit, I'd be like, oh fuck, I don't know what I'm looking at. I just make it sound good and then send it away, done. But he looked at him and went, that's not a tone bender, and it's not this. They've done this, and he drew it out and everything, just like. Oh,
and then he figured out what it was the prototype for, and like
Yeah.
tracked down people. I mean, like it was, because somebody brought it to him because it wasn't working right. It was a non-working pedal, and asked him to repair it.
Yeah.
And so he was just like, "That's not a tone bender." So.
He even went down to like check the solder joints. He's like, "No one's resoldered these joints, so this is how it come.
This is how it came. Yeah, like it.
This is the first time it's been open, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah, it might have been something that just didn't work, and they chucked it in the bins, and somebody pulled it out of the bins and said, "I'll take this home."
I think that's what it was.
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
It's weird that like something so iconic like that they do exist. Like the prototypes do exist.
Oh, yeah.
I've got like loads of them, like just lying around. Just like I know what I tend to do is send them out to studio like toy boxes. Like you'd say at the kid the toy box when you were a kid, and like studios have a toy box of pedals. I just send them out like they go, there you go. There's a bunch of funky nonsense. See if you can make anything out of that, Like, and maybe they did the same. Maybe they were just like, "Oh, do you want it? Yeah, go ahead." I mean, like a lot of people like.
I mean, that's the way it was. I mean, it was something that's like, oh, well, you like it, okay, well, we're not going to sell it. Here, you take it.
No,
I'm pretty sure that's what Solar Sound have put out. That it come out of this bin. Apparently, he had a bin that he just used to chuck him in when he didn't like them, and that's where it's come from. So. I don't know. I feel like, are you going to get Simon on for the next podcast then, are you, John?
We're going to try. The problem is going to be like having somebody to do your end and host it, because I don't have the technology and the bandwidth to be able to like be the host for it.
Like mental bandwidth.
It's
like you're coming through loud and clear here, lad. Sounds like an excuse to me.
Yeah, sometimes I don't have the mental bandwidth, but like,
well,
daily schedules are subject to change daily, so.
I might not be able to get to my laptop. That's one thing, because I'm traveling a bit. So for some reason, the fucking Navy.
What we maybe need to do is before then is you and I like figure out a way I can do it. It's just my laptop is like 2011 technology, and like Windows 10 is. I can probably do it on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely can.
But I don't know if I need to like go through like the account, the actual account.
Yeah, we'll sort that out, mate.
Because because I haven't been able to figure out how to host that yet. So
I the reason why I'm not going to be able to do it is they booked me an operation in Birmingham, even though I'm in Portsmouth. So the Navy are that amazing that they've gone, this guy needs to have a lump cut out, so we'll send him to fucking Birmingham, because that's why not? Why would you not? So I'm not going to have my laptop.
They're gonna like spend £20 to save 10 is what they're gonna do, right?
Well, the ticket's like 120 quid on the train. 120 quid. I could go to Marbella for less. Anyway. Yeah, we can sort that out anyway, mate. But I think you're gonna get like a whole host of anyone who will come on, and
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna put out the word through our cast of miscreants and mutants and see what we can come up with.
It'll be the best podcast ever because I'm not on it.
I don't know about that.
Oh man! So, have you got anything else in the works? Have you, mate? Any other angles that you're working at, different types of effects, or are you just refining what you've got? Because obviously you've just done the Scram V2.
Done the Scram V2. I did the Hungry Beaver V2 as well, because that's too loud apparently. So I've just put a master volume trim on it.
Wait, they're too loud.
Yeah, so this is another
such
like
a thing?
assumed
What?
knowledge. Well,
somebody said there's too.
Like, say, let's just say, like, so the reason I made the Hungry Beaver was because I used to play a big Mesa Boogie stack, and with a big muff into it, and I loved the way that the stack was breaking up because I was doing like massive gigs when I was playing that rig, and I used to love the way it was breaking up. It was the EL34's like 30 watts, the dual mono block job. So the Mesa Studio preamp into the EL34s running 30 watts class A, like cranked up to about volume 8 into a 4x12 with a big muff into it. I used to love that sound, and like I couldn't get that at a lower volume, so I thought, well, what I'll do is rather than using the power tubes for the breakup, I'll use the the like V1, the first tube. But what you need to do then, of course, is you got to slam the thing. So the Hungry Beaver was designed to slam that V1 to get the compression and the breakup from that to simulate the breakup of the power amp, so that you could have that breakup and that interaction between the muff and at lower volumes, right? So we'll sell this pedal anyway, and nobody knows what the fuck I've just said, like, or how to dial it. So they put it in the pedal board, they put it into a Fender Twin. Some poor lad put it into his Fender Twin with headphones on, right? Like put it to 12 o'clock because he, you know what I mean? Because that's, you put it to 12 o'clock. That's Unity, isn't it? What's Unity, mate? I don't know, mate. I've just heard it on the internet. All right, 12 o'clock. Then go on, off we go. Right, puts it to there, turns the thing on, and gets fucking annihilated. So poor lad, right? This is like week 1 of the thing coming out. My first pedal. And I was like, do you not know about like gain staging and that? Like, how to, you know what I mean? Nah, man, they just put it in your pedal board and turn it on. And then every time I say to people, like, it's too loud. Yeah, but because you got to treat your gain dial on your amp. In order to get this thing to work, you got to treat your gain dial on your amp like a compression dial instead. Like you're using a booster. Think about it as a booster, not a fuzz. Like, what? Like, right, exactly. No, but, you know, what? You know, like, and this is where maybe this R2R guy was saying, like, maybe it's just not for you. Maybe you don't need a booster. It just makes it louder. Yeah, man. It's what you do with that makes the thing, the sound. That makes
the magic happen, yeah.
That's it. It's about the staging and the interaction and all the things like that. And it was too loud. And actually, what people want is a fuzz pedal that they step on it and they can turn it down or up so it sounds about right when they close their eyes and put one finger in the air and the wind blows. Like whatever whatever goes through the heads. I don't care. It needs a master volume. So I'll put a master volume on it. So I've got the Scram V2 with the impedance quirks sorted. It's now like minimal interaction at the input and output. That's the brief. Okay, fine. Job done. Stuck it in a Union Jack enclosure. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, happy days. Then Oasis, there you go, boys. There's another one. Have it. Right, good. Then Hungry Beaver V2. It's not too loud anymore. Okay, good. Right, excellent. I've discontinued the ones that are a nightmare to build. This thing, turns out when you try and get Rocky Raccoon to sit on the knob up here like this, if you're printing or your drilling's out by a millimeter, it looks absolutely shite. So what I've necessarily had to do, because the only people that can pull this off are Hammond MFG, and they've just upped the price just to about £40 a unit. So I've had to discontinue the Battle Scar. I'll sell what I've got. Clean Machine staying as it is. I don't care. It's got a Lucy input. Deal with it. Like, it's part of the sound. I'm done. It's magic. Leave it alone. Obviously, Sketchy's had to be redone with the V2 and that, and then in the last couple of days, I invented the Timmy as well. I was trying to build a boost. Like, I was trying to do this thing where I was like, right, okay, I want a boost pedal, so I did the split rail thing to give it the headroom, and then I built the boost. I had like an OPA 2134, you know, the hi-fi up amp, the Burr Browns, and all that. Hey, Burr Browns, and all the orange buzzword. All the stuff, mate. Weema caps and all that. Like, here we go. There's me little gut shot here. Look, I've taken the bits out because I've used them somewhere else, but that's basically what it looks like. So I called the Giza Boost, right? So, and it was just supposed to be a boost pedal, but the gain was just far too much. It was outputting 22 volts peak to peak, that, which is just, I mean, if the Hungry Beaver's too loud at 9 volts, this is like, it's insane.
22 volts, man. Whoa.
22 volts peak to peak from a Strat. So I was like, all right, it sounds a bit much this. Like, so what I've done then is I've put on the 12 o'clock there like that. I decided I'd put some diodes on it, but I wanted the bass control because I wanted that like pre-gain bass control, because this is where like the amount of bass you have in the signal and then how much you drive the signal tends to define the texture of the sound. So if you want to drive it to a lot of high gain, you're gonna have to cut the bass. Think of like a Japanese motorcycle, yeah. You wanna you don't like you can't rev it to like 10,000 revs if it's got the torque like a Harley Davidson. The whole thing's just gonna fall to pieces, isn't it? You know, so like we've got all that bass, we're revving up. So I need a pre-gain bass control. I kind of want to tap away some of the harmonics after the distortions happen. So I'll have this post distortion, like post-bass treble control, maybe remove some of the sparkle or whatever. The diodes up here, and then a master volume.
See where this is going.
Well, then actually, once you've done all that in the pre-game bass, well, let's optimize the bill of materials. Let's use the feedback loop of the op amp that we're already employing to get the gain. Let's use that to filter off the bass. That works nicely because then we're only amplifying within the feedback loop what we need. I'll put the diodes in now to make it a bit more interesting. So now I've got this this input, and then we want this like nice buffered output here like this, you know, like to keep the signal really nice. And then there's this after you've generated the distortion with the drive, let's trim the treble off a little bit as well to get rid of some of them like extraneous harmonics, and a nice little buffered output with the master volume, which is exactly, actually, believe it or not, a Timmy. So So I've invented the Timmy this week.
I love it.
Which I'm really
it's weird because we were saying this in our last few episodes, where there's only so many ways to use these components or transistors and stuff, and you end up rehashing the same things. And people say it's a clone of this. Like, it's not a clone of that.
It's just built off the spec sheet. I just used basic principles in the spec sheets to design what I wanted it to do, and it came out this. It's like I didn't try and copy anybody. It's like
thoroughly 100% independently.
Yeah.
And you know what? At one point, I even swapped the components out for the exact components that are in the Timmy. I went, oh, that sounds pretty good, actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Yeah. I think the tapers are a bit wrong. So I had different tapers. But other than that, yeah, so I was quite happy with that. I was like, oh god, that Timmy's good, isn't it? There's a nice pedal, that Timmy.
Or you're gonna call it Tommy?
Yeah, the Tommy. He'll be Teddy. Yeah.
Teddy 2 Tellys. That's me new. That's what I call it.
Oh, class. The thing is, it, like you just said, you've gone through it logically. I want this, I'll do this, and then you'd end up at the point probably that he followed the same sequence. You know,
the only thing that he did weird that I thought was really weird is that he is that in the output buffer, you got two options with the non-inverting input. You can either just connect the inverting input to the output and like get a buffer, or you can use like two resistors of the same value. The difference being is that in a non-inverting configuration, the gain, when you use the two resistors, the gain is like 2 V in. Whereas in the buffer, V in equals V out, like regardless of the load. You can think about a buffer as like a constant voltage source. So like whatever load you put on it, the voltage in is the voltage out equals the voltage in. In fact, this is what op amps do really well, is like, the whatever load you put on it on the input and output, generally within reason, is that V in equals, depending on the value of the resistors, whatever V out, right? Or V out equals 2 V in or whatever. So he's doubled the gain on that buffer by employing two, I think it's 3.3K resistors in the Timmy, when he could have just not doubled the gain, and it's loud as fuck. So if he'd just not used the two resistors and just connect the two together and just made a buffer, the gain would be 1 rather than 2 because he didn't use the resistors, and it wouldn't be so loud. So now I'm just sat here just like, what do I do? Because apparently I make pedals that are too loud. So I'm just like, so I've changed it to make it so that it's like his one, and it's really good. But I've had to add a resistor on the tie down on the output to decrease the output available on tap at the volume. So I don't know, man. So I got really excited about it before I realized it was a Timmy and told my brother, like, do us a favor, design an husband enclosure. We're going to call it Tone Chasers Will Be Prosecuted, right? And we're going to have two fellas, one fella giving another fella a boost over a fence, right? That'll be the graphic, yeah? And we'll have a sign saying Tone Chasers Will Be Prosecuted, right? We'll have a factory in the background or whatever. It'll be a really nice pedal. And
that's a class concept.
Oh, thanks, man. And the pedal's like helping you up over the top, you know what I mean? Like you get to
it's just a boost, mate. Just give me a boost
or whatever. Yeah, give us a boost. Give us a boost. So I was like, well, and then by the time once I realized that I'd done a Timmy, I was like, fuck me, man. Like I'm making a clone here right now. So I naturally messaged Simon again. Like, Simon, I've invented the Timmy.
Help me.
He said we've all been there.
Well,
so now like, okay. Yeah. So what do I do now? He said, well, I don't know. So he's giving me some ideas. So it might be a new pedal for Christmas. Might not be. I've just finished redesigning the Sketchy with that new with the Millennium Bypass and the new programming and that. And I might, I don't know, man. I'll have to see. I feel like really crap about this now because I'm just like, oh man, that was such a good idea. It's such a good idea. That would have sold loads of. Yeah, it did. It's a Timmy. It sold loads.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like
bollocks.
With the circuit that I came up with, like I had to send it to Simon and say, did I come up with something or is this like, something that I've reinvented and like I just accidentally, and he was like, I've never seen this before. This is witchcraft. And I was like, yes,
that's
yes!
a win.
If anyone knows that,
I know. What you want to do is just get him to come up with some obscure fucking op amp that you can use that makes it its own thing.
This is it. I've got to leverage that though, and then this is the thing that like I don't like.
It's the snake oil.
I don't like that. Yeah. I'm just like I want like an original design, but then there's a part of me that's just like, you did it honestly, so just do it.
Just own it, mate.
And the thing is, people are always going to say, "What's the topology?" That's what I get all the time. So like the Kossoff drive, they're like, "Yeah, but what pedal is it?" Like, well, it's just 3 JFETs stacked together. One is the input, the preamp. One is for the gain, and the other is to drive the tone because the tone's post. And I'm like, yeah, but what's it based on? That is what it's based on. It's based on how a JFET works.
Yeah, man. You know, they buy it in so many ways, you know.
Exactly. It's not even complicated because I'm a simple guy. It's 3 JFETs in a row. That's what it is. And people just can't like, yeah, but what is it, like Tube Screamer based or like is it a copy of the Vertex thing, whatever that is? Which oddly enough is a clone of.
I was gonna say I don't want to.
It's a clone of a clone of a clone.
The Vertex guy, like, but I do not forgive.
I'm doing some sort of YouTube video on this because I'm going to clone one of his steel string Singer pedals. I've got to, because I'm going to clone the clone.
There you go.
Yeah. Why don't you just buy his pedal, put it in your box, and then say
it's going to be a dilly dally?
Why don't you just do that?
Because I've got to buy it then.
Yeah, well, this is it. You got to give him money, aren't you? Buy a second-hand one.
See, I didn't realize this, but he actually bought wah pedals and reboxed them, didn't he? That was the whole thing.
There's few things I know about in this world, like in the guitar pedal world. It's like the culture and everything. I try not to get too involved in it. I like to keep myself like, you know, I'm doing what I'm doing. You do what you do. I'm not going to judge, you know. And then I was watching his thing, the Rig Doctor, and I looked at his face and I thought, this guy's a cunt. Right. So I was like, is anyone else onto this? Like, he's got loads of you. So Mace, whatever. And then I was like, he is, isn't he? Isn't he? I knew it. Found it all. Like,
so he, I don't know where he's copied all of his designs from, but I'm pretty sure the Steel String Singer is a copy of something. Or if I go back through, I'll probably find out what the exact pedal was. But I think one of the Chinese companies copied it, and he was trying to sue them. Or there's some sort of, and I'm going to flesh out the video properly. So I feel like I need to make a copy of the Chinese copy of his copy.
There you go. So a copy of the copy of the copy.
Right there, and that's better. And I'm going to call it something like the Steel String Singer, but I'm going to call it the Triple S. And I'm going to put it in a box with a delay. So it's like repeating itself.
It's going to be.
I've got this plan. Yeah. But basically what I'm doing, and this is the snidey bit on my part, I'm trading off the fact that he's got a massive name, and I'm going to make a video with him in the screenshot, giving him a bit of shit, and that'll blow the video up. So on my half, I'm leveraging his popularity, so I'll take that.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the way the world works, man.
Good on you.
I'm pretty sure it's like 4 J201s is Triple S pedal wired in some config. I imagine it just.
And it's probably like a schematic that I have in my collection from Runoff Groove.
Runoff Groove, gonna say, if you see J201, you know exactly.
We all started there, mate. The Thor or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Some like this is it, isn't it? Like Jack Orman, Runoff Groove. Like I think
Mark Hammer.
Mark Hammer, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Hammer was like one of those legendary guys, and
Tim Escobedo.
Yeah.
He's my hero. He is.
Ah, man, there's a few names that like keep popping up. I'd have to go back through all my stuff.
There's the RG Keen one. I think you were talking. Was it to the Dominion lad the other day? You were talking about
he put out the one fuzz face article, and everybody like declared it the gospel.
Again, this is one of them things where the thing gets out 8130 was it or something there for that article, and then people are just like, does it have 8120? Because and so regardless of whether it's right or not, in many ways it just doesn't matter. You've just got to do that.
The thing with the fuzz faces though, you can change the most small insignificant thing and it makes a massive effect on it. And it is a new, do you know what I mean? It's not a fuzz face anymore. Well, Mark 1.5 tone bender, for example, is exactly the same pedal. It's just,
well, you know, the one knob fuzz from Color Sound, it's the fuzz face,
yeah.
but it's got like totally different values and
The damn meathead.
Mm-hmm.
That's very fuzz facey in its layout. So at what point does that become a new pedal and your own design compared to it being a clone? That's my question, because you've got your Timmy. Is it a Timmy if you use something different in there?
And if you're getting like different flavors out of it, you know.
So I think the topology is like, because the topology is like, okay, this is how you do that. This is how you get them two transistors playing together. And then the values are obviously dependent on the gains of the transistors, because you ain't just gonna like, okay, so then if you fix them values at the fuzz face and you declare that these values are your sound, then even just sourcing the different HFEs for Q1 and Q2 with the same resistors and capacitors, I'd make an argument that it's a different pedal, and it's a fuzz face topology, but there's work done there where it's like, well, you know, and if especially like, you know, the Michelin star, like this is going to be one of them mad arguments, right? But I'm just going to go down this rabbit hole. The Michelin star is awarded for consistency, not for quality, for reproducibility. And I think that reproducibility, like we were saying about Mike at Seeker when he did that like range of 25, that reproducibility factor is something that takes a lot of work and investment. And so if you do commit to the 8120, the RG or whatever, and you can pump them out and you manage to find and source transistors, that match this, that are off the spec and that, and you've done a hell of a lot of work, and it's yours as far as I'm concerned. Like that's yours. And even
I think you've answered your Timmy question there then, mate.
What?
It's yours.
Yeah, it's yours, mate. You come up with it fair and square.
I see what you did there, lads. Go ahead. All right, go ahead. I'm in. There we go. New SoundLad pedal then. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
The
to be fair,
will be prosecuted coming out this Christmas. Go ahead. Cheers,
Timmy's a great pedal, but fuck me, it's easy to mess up when you're making it.
Yeah, especially with that last
I did a tag board fucking Timmy. So I found this Jordan online, which was like, it says tag board version of the Timmy. Great, I'll just build that. But the fucking Jordan's wrong. The layout's wrong. And I'm looking at, when I'm going through it, you can see on the video, like I went and building it. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. These diodes just don't seem right to me. And in the end, I just clipped them all out and wired it off board the way that I think it should go. I ended up like having two of the game pots go fucking bad. So I was trying to be clever and use vintage, and they were fucked. So I just ended up using a brand new pot in the end. And then I put one connection in the wrong place. It was a nightmare. In the end, the pedal sounded good. However, I'll never be building one of them again. I've still got anxiety about it now.
Sorry, lad.
It was killing me.
You're saying Timmy again and again. You're like,
I know. I have my audio probe out going around the circuit going, I just don't understand. How can it be no fucking signal here? Or how can the signal be so weak? And then I get it working and turn everything up, and I just get this whistle. What the fuck is going on here? And it was basically the game pot weren't attached to fuck all. That's what was happening.
They're just maxing out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that one.
It was bad. But I tell you what, with the Timmy, what I did notice is I went through. What was it? Can you remember, John? Simon mentioned an op amp, and he said it's like the JRC 4558, but on steroids. It's NJM something.
Yeah.
So when Simon
series?
mentioned it on the podcast, I can't remember. I've got a load of them over there. But when Simon mentioned it on the podcast, I wrote the timestamp down and I went back and just bought like 200 of them the next day. I was like, Simon said they're good. They'll come in handy one day. And so I put that in the Timmy, and between the 4558 and that, the difference was unbelievable. Even to me, who's like, I'm tone deaf. Sometimes people are like, can you hear that? And I'm like, yeah, no. But with this, it was like night and day. So I wonder, with your Timmy clone, if you, depending on what you use, because like the hi-fi op amp sounded much more boosty and less like fluffy, if you like. I fucking hate tone words, but I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, it made a massive difference in that circuit.
Yeah, to be honest, I was using recently I was doing a lot of experiments And I was working with the TL072 because I had a bunch of them about the 5.2 and the 8.2. Now, obviously, like the TL, it's like for likes on that stage, and then the 4.5.8's obviously got.
It's my favorite.
I love a 7.2 and a
70
screamer circuit.
It's my
the
favorite.
X2 kind of job. Yeah. Have you tried the 5.5.3.2?
Yeah, I have.
In the same position.
Mm-hmm.
I find for like any kind of buffers or anything like clean, I find that's really
a better chip.
Really nice. Yeah, well, it's better. It's just like it just seems to be cleaner.
That's what I'm saying for clean.
It's better for clean. That's it. Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like it's better for that application. When I say better, it's better for the application, not all around. Because that's the thing. When somebody starts giving like those kind of quantifiers on things, say, well, it's better. It's better for what? Is it better for this, or is it because you have a trade-off because it's better for this, it's not as good for that.
That's it. I think
nothing's one size fits all. Yeah. So
it's I'm looking for like in the buffers and clean thing. I'm looking for full transparency. If I was looking for some coloration, I think that the TL.
Yeah, the 72 is really nice for that.
I think it brings something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I always when I'm like swapping, I do a lot of this. If I build anything with an op amp, I like to just go through them. I get so much shit on YouTube for buying like £80 dual op amps, and I like you don't need them. Loads of people you can't hear it or whatever. But I like swapping them out and hearing the differences. And more often than not, I think I like the TL072 better than most things. And I think if they were rare and expensive, people would be like fawning over them and saying how amazing they are. But because they're like 2p for a million of them, no one wants to know.
The reason why they're 2p for a million though is because they're bloody good. Like this
they get used. They're what replaced a lot of things, and they became the industry standard. Like they fixed a lot of problems with it, basically.
That's it. You find them everywhere, man. This Sketchy's full of them. And so the any op amp in there is the TL084. So I was using like
that's the dual version, of the 82, right?
The quad, 282, 282. You're right, yeah, that's it, yeah. So like, so that's so it's full of them because it was available, it was cheap, it was predictable, reproducible, and available is the main thing. Like, can the people who are making my PCB, do they have it in? Yeah, man, they got millions of them. How much are they? Nothing, mate. Like, all right, well, let's regardless of what like esoteric kind of like gains you may be picking up, like, and it is cumulative. If you're using like them right the way through and whatever, you do get cumulative effects running through these things. But like, okay, fine, I'm all right with that because it did the job. And it's such a good op amp for that specific reason. Is it like if all else fails, get the 72 in there.
You can rely on it.
It's banging every time.
The question is, what are you gonna look at for like the market and angle to make yours stand out, your pedal stand out? Because I struggle with that a lot with mine. Because the only thing I can use is the fact that my enclosures are all their own thing because I don't get them made. So that's the only real thing that you can like market on my side and say, well, you will never get this pedal again if you don't buy this exact one. Whereas for you, are you to make yours not a Timmy or not? What?
There's multiple ways I guess you could go about Liverpool. That, right?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I think about all this stuff when
I think it'll probably come to you over a basket of fish and chips and a pint, mate.
That's it. Mate. I just need to be in a nice space, like
because marketing this thing, you don't even need to market this thing. Just put a little video up of someone like twiddling the knobs and it changing the sound, and that thing sells itself. Like,
all I had to do was just show. I just showed it to somebody. I showed a picture of it to somebody, and they're like, "How much is it?" That's the first question. How much?
Yeah. So the video. Which pedal was it that when you first sent me it, I was literally finishing off a video. I was doing a sound sample and I plugged it in. I was like, I'll just use it quick. I turned it on with the camera rolling the first time and twiddled the knobs and started playing. And then I lost an hour playing guitar, and I never played guitar. And I was like, shit, I'm meant to be filming here. The camera run out of battery. It's like, I'll just take that.
That's a good
what
sign.
You see on that video, the very first time that I turned it on and I'm like twiddling the knobs, I'd never even plugged it in before. And it just got a tone straight away. So, and I'm a Neanderthal. I couldn't even get me fucking I couldn't even get my laptop working before this podcast. You know what I mean? I use it every other week to do the same thing. But it's funny because when I watched that video back, like it looks like I know what I'm doing, but I literally had never turned the thing on. I just twiddled a bit and went, "Oh look, there you go."
Just having to play with some tones, like.
Yeah, but it's class. My only thing is, I'd be like, because I have no clue how exactly it works. I don't know how to like save presets, do all of this stuff. I was just like taking pictures of what I made with my phone, and like now if I ever lose it, I know where to go back to.
Yeah, I'll show you now, Joey. Yeah. As soon as we're here, is that all right?
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, mate, anyone who's into like modulation needs to look at this because it.
So I spent ages trying to get the interface right, and the problem is that when you do these things, you get married to how it works, and you just go, all right, Sam. So I'll just do a quick run through with you. Is that okay?
Go for it. This is fantastic.
So we got the so we'll have the little let's turn that on. So we should have the little SoundLad load up now. Okay, happy days. Here we go. Right. So
what people don't know is I'm going to save this for later, and I'll be replaying this bit of the video just for me while I'm messing about with man.
Yeah, do it, man. What I should really do is an instruction manual, really, shouldn't I? That would be the smart thing to do.
I disagree, mate. I hate that because no one ever reads manuals.
The video
manual.
Oh yeah,
little video manual, like
that'll
just talking through it. Yeah, man.
That's
what I'm talking about there. So right, this is how it's gonna work now. So we've got in. So the right dial as we're looking at it is in, and this one's out. Yeah. So when you want to, so at the minute, the purple little chevron there, I don't know what this thing's called, the bit underlined, is on bank 1. So if we rotate the dial, we can go through the banks. We can change the bank number. You can hear.
I did actually
click in there.
Yeah.
And then if you want to enter into the bank to edit it, you can click in, and you'll go into it. So now your chevron is moving between different things. So we got the little 3-character name at the top. So we can click in, change it, and we can click back out. And we'll back out again. So let's just go across. So we can change this one too. Let's go with Joe there, right?
I'm on blow, but we'll
Blow. What is that one?
Is it Joe Blow?
Genuinely, this is where I left it off the other day.
Right, so then once we've done the name, then we can move this across, and now we might have the little metronome. And this point, if we click in, it'll turn blue, and now we can turn this, and we can adjust we got a fine like adjustment on the BPM. You can't get it exactly over here, but you know what it is. You can just do it this way instead. So you can adjust that fine, or you can just tap the tap tempo, and it'll.
And that's what I did. I just tapped it. I didn't realize you could adjust it on and up. I just tapped it in.
So say you keep tapping there, and I'm like, lad, I really want 140 BPM. I've hit 150, 45, no 42. You know what? I can't get it. Let's just go into there.
Close enough for government work, mate.
Is it? Yeah. Well, I'm a technician, right? So then we'll get that to 140, and then we can click when that little box goes around there, the 0.5. We got this little box, the purple box. I don't know how well you can see this. It's difficult to operate.
I'm doing it in front of him.
Yeah.
As you're doing it, I'm doing it.
So we can click in.
Yeah.
And then we can go, all right, sound, and we can adjust the multiplier, and you'll see over here now this will change the speed. So it's 0.5 times multiplier, 2 times, and 5 times. Okay, we'll set that to 5 times. And then we can click on the waveform when it goes blue. Now we can change the different waveforms that we're after. There's some built-in waveforms, and after that we've got some pre-drawn ones. So we can have the classic. So this is standard sine wave. This one was designed by a guy who works at CERN. You know, the Large Hadron Collider.
Oh yeah.
I
think they ripped a hole in time and space for us.
This is it, yeah. So a bunch of me mates work at it. They're physicists who it gets built in my department, like all the parts for it, like Atlas were built at the University of Liverpool. Yeah, so all my lads are all like the people who built that stuff. So he built this this waveform for us, and what this was like a linear map of basically a triangle wave going through the charge discharge pattern of the hot plate on a valve amp. So it's like really valvey that one, basically. So we modeled that. Square wave, triangle, yeah, there's all the stuff. This one I robbed from Origin Effects. You know, they got that really nice tremolo. The 59 trim, is it, or something, with the preamp in it?
I think it's the 59 trim, yeah.
Yeah,
well, they printed the waveform. They printed the waveform on the front of the pedal, so I robbed it. Shouldn't have done that, boys. Here we go. So then we got the this is like a scatter one, just to mess around and that. And then you can draw your own. If you want to draw your own, what you can do is you can just tap that to make it go purple. And if you press and hold it over one of the make your own ones, it'll take you into sketch mode.
Where am I?
So yeah, so I'll come out with that and go.
Yeah.
Right. So what we're gonna do is we want to go into after scatter.
Yeah.
There's that one, which is the Smiths one.
Yeah.
Have you got that? And then go to the next one there. You might just have a number on it like this.
Yeah. It's just a number.
Okay. So make that purple, the box around the purple one.
Yeah.
Right. And now press and hold in. So it'll go blue and then it'll go into sketch mode. There you go. Right. So now what you can do is,
by the way.
So now you can draw your own waveform in there. So we'll just draw that in using the Etch a Sketch job. There we go.
No fucking way.
Right, so we can draw that. So that's the waveform. I've just done like a standard waveform. And then when you've drawn something you're happy with,
you do realize this is going to end up being a penis at some point.
It almost came with cock and balls built in, mate.
I was going to say.
I don't want to.
It's got to be hidden somewhere as an Easter egg for people to find.
What?
The problem is you can't go back in time. So if you want to do the little mushroom, like it's a bit.
I know, yeah, it's a little bit hard.
Can't be having the shaft wider there, can we? That ain't right, man.
The YouTube video is writing itself. What does a penis sound like?
It depends on which ear you stick it in.
Oh, mate. Well, yeah.
We're demonetized for sure on this one, mate.
Oh, lads.
Always
get this.
Not like
press
we
and
ever
hold
were.
Press and hold the right one, and you should load that into your window now. And so there's your waveform that you can select, and that's saved now. So if you want to, though, so that's the normal tremolo mode. Then if you go across to this little thing, this icon, it'll go full color like this, all pink and blues. If you click on it, it'll tell you which one you're on, which is the tremolo. And then if you want to change it, you can go like that, click, and you can go to harmonic tremolo mode now. This is the blue and yellow.
Yeah.
So now if you go back into your window, make it purple, your sketch window.
I've gone off it. Where are we? There. Yeah.
So you should be looking like this. You should get into sketch mode now.
I fucking moved across from me. Oh, fuck you. I've moved off my window. Ah.
That's okay.
Oh, come on. There we are.
So you can see actually just on this bit here now while we're here, the early ones, the built-in, we've got like a 180 degrees out of phase sine wave. So obviously for harmonic tremolo, the bass and the treble are being modulated separately. Yeah. So like you have a waveform for the bass band and a waveform for the treble band. And we can see the shapes that these are. So these are 180 degrees out of phase. These are only 30 degrees out of phase, which has got some really interesting artifacts when you do that. We can move across to the square wave, which you can see there is just like a dashed red and yellow line. So these are alternating between the bass and the treble. Triangle, reverse. Oh, there we go. We got that Origin lump with like a weird like shark fin on the bass. That was really effective. So a shark fin's a really nice one because it's an exponential curve and an exponential decay, so it sounds like really natural. A lot of synth players use it quite a lot. So then we got the triangle wave on the bass and then a scatter on the treble. And if we come across, there should be an open slot there, so we can make that purple again by clicking in and then press and hold, and we should end up in sketch mode. Now in sketch mode, what we've got, let me just check my So now what we're able to do in sketch mode is, in this case, we'll do the bass. Let me just have a look. We can do the bass band. So this is blue. And then when we want to change to the treble band, we can see that this bass clef is blue off to the side. If you want to change to the treble band, you just click that in and it'll take you up to the treble clef goes yellow. And now you can draw in a separate like waveform for the yellow for the treble band. So
I don't know if people. I'm literally drawing a picture here, and that's the waveform.
Yeah.
Oh my
so now
God.
you can set a separate waveform for the bass and the treble band now. So we can export that as a custom one by pressing and holding the right one. If you did go in and you messed it up, say you messed something up and you were like, you can either shake it. There you go. Oh yeah, give it a good shake.
Just
so
like you did
just
like you did on the Oyster sketch. That's what's so cool.
Give it a shake.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm gonna go. There we go. So we can give that a shake and that's gone. Or if you don't want it, if it's stuck to your pedal board, you can just click there and that'll clear it. You can just click
picking the pedal board up and giving it a shake.
That would be epic, mate. I would hope.
I was so close to not having this clear feature, just to piss everybody off. You know?
Yes.
Mate, this is unbelievable.
So, cheers, man. So say you wanted to exit then. Say you're going, do you know what? Like, this is shit. Like, yeah, just back on the old one. Rather than pressing export, like, the one on the right, you can click and hold the one on the left. It'll clear it, and then you'll get your old one back. So you don't have to mess around there. So now then, we've got across the bottom. So we've been through all of these lot here now, and now we've got the tone, depth, through, and level across the bottom.
So this is the only bit I understood when I was twiddling with it when I was playing it.
The tone's super interesting, man. Like, do you mind if I have a quick about the tone? Is that all right?
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Sorry.
I need to take a bathroom break, guys, and so
can we do that?
I'm going to.
Can I do that as well?
Yeah, of course, mate. Of course.
Yes. Yeah. Right, quick break then, lads. Let's do this. I need a beer and a piss. Go ahead. Hey.
Happy days. Well, you shoot off, and I'll talk to the peoples, and then I'll go.
Yeah. You should probably go through the chat because we've been talking for a while and not paying any attention to our fans.
I'm absolutely blown away by this thing. And by the way, if anyone didn't notice, my camera died halfway through that, so it's like switch everything round.
Oh wow, I didn't notice at all.
There you go. Smooth.
All right. Yes.
All right, mate. No worries. Well,
I'll be right back.
Yeah. All right, bud. Oh, so what's going on, team? I think you should call it Tommy as well, because the Who's album, Tommy, he could leverage that for it. For it. I think that's a great idea, Tim. I tell you what, if anyone's thinking about getting a weird pedal, this thing is insane. It's literally an Etch-a-Sketch. I can't believe you can shake it. Jimmy Smith doing a wedge in Portsmouth. That's class, mate. I love that you guys know all the same people as well.
What's been said, John?
I'm just going back through, mate. They've been off on a tangent, a conversation about who's the artist. Barry, is it? I don't know who it is. Oh man, I feel like the chat's been on a separate conversation there. Honestly, mate, I'm blown away by that. By the Etch-a-Sketch thing there. I fiddled with it, but I didn't scratch the surface.
The separate waveforms for the treble and the bass, I think, are like a unique sell. I haven't seen that on anything actually, where you can set a different waveform for the bass side of it and the treble side of the harmonic tremolo. So that was a nice one. So I was pretty happy with that. And the fact you can draw your own, like, it's just a different thing, isn't it?
Mate, you could lose hours messing with that. And John Potter, he says that it's Barry, how do you say that? Cadigan. Musician in the UK, I'm going to go with, but yeah, it's unbelievable. I can imagine this is the link between someone who's really into synth and stuff like that, but then is into guitar as well. This is like the link between the two worlds.
I've had quite a few messages from synth guys just saying, like, mate, can you do one for synth? The thing is with the synth guys is they've got a whole different set of demands, than the guitar pedal guys. Guitar pedal guys are happy for it to like resync. You know, there's the guitar pedal guys are happy with like the control voltages. Very few guitarists use actually. I hear about MIDI, stereo, CV, like stuff, and these are all things that I could have added to this, but actually, from my own experiences, being like out and about and having guitarists, I only did a stereo rig once, and it was for is it Mark Peters of Engineers, and he was the only guy I've ever worked with that used a stereo rig for years and years and years. And so I didn't put any of that stuff in, but the synth guys specifically, they need the CV stuff. The CV stuff as well, like, is not standardized. Like, we have like 9 volts center negative or whatever for the power supply. The CV stuff that the synth guys are working with is not standardized. It's starting to standardize, but they can't decide between 5 volts Arduino DIY voltage or 3.3 volt CMOS voltages or plus or minus 10 volts, if you can believe it. So I
can't believe it.
It's not. It's a really difficult. So you have to build that in as well, and it's a lot of stuff that's.
You know, you had a whole lot of different like approaches to synthesis too. Like you had people taking the Moog approach, you had people taking like the West Coast approach, you had people taking like the European approach. Just like, so it's all been kind of like, you know, they're trying to find a standardization, but like with guitar electronics, it sort of like started out on an even foot. So.
Oh, mate.
9 volt battery.
Talking
of
stereo rigs. This is my stereo rig. It's ridiculous because I never play guitar, but I've got a range master hanging off the bottom.
Oh, look at that. That's delicious, John.
Oh, mate, I went off the deep end because I got this. I don't know if you've the other side, the poly vapes.
I've seen it, the lights and that.
Oh, mate, it's unbelievable. So it's like a dual or a stereo reverb that you can take IRs of anywhere. And like, so I could go, I wish it was still on board. I could go in a hangar on my ship.
Oh, that's what I was
pop a balloon and record it. And that'll use it then as the reverb. So I'll have the reverb of that room in the ship.
I've got a friend who's a Foley artist. A really odd guy, man. Like he'd be like, and he used to make these convolutions like for companies.
That's it. That's the way.
And the convolution algorithm, just takes the response and works backwards to a point source, and then you derive the point source from there rather than a balloon popping. You know, your guitar and you get like
so like exactly that.
And he's an odd guy, man. I'd go around his house and like he'd be like whacking a lettuce on a door frame as you walk through the door, and he'd be like, "You all right, Rob?" And he'd be like, "Does that sound like a slap to you?" Yeah, go ahead. He'd be like, all right, so he'd have like a dismembered, like, you know, he'd go in his kitchen or whatever, he'd have like a dismembered trumpet. Like I remember one day he had a dismembered trumpet on a chopping board with a big knife stuck in the chopping board. I was like, oh, what's this? You soon stop asking, you know, but it's like, you're really curious about this one. He was like, yeah, listen to this. Rub the trumpet down the edge of the knife blade, and the thing starts resonating. I was like, what's that? And he's like, it's a car horn, isn't it? Like, oh. So, yeah. So I don't know.
I got weird with this thing because I got that stereo reverb and I was just like, I really want to run it stereo, but I never do. So I made like a little box that makes it stereo or not. But it's got I split the signal and it's got delay on both halves of the signal. So basically I've got the drive pedals and then it splits, and then one half goes through all of my modulation and stuff, like all this stores of stuff, and then the other half goes through nothing but a delay, and then both halves go to the stereo reverb, and they come out stereo. So it's like everything's wet dry until the reverb, and then it's stereo. Mad. Anyway, it's way too advanced for me, but I built it because I was like, I really want a mad pedal board, you know.
I think I pulled the wrong in not having a stereo, not making the sketchy stereo. And I've brought some USPs to the market, which I'm like really happy with, you know. But I think I was really kind of like, I've never seen anyone use stereo, but then I've started using more and more. Like when I was developing Sketchy, it was actually really annoying not having something. Sorry, I was looking for this. I just had this on my desk. This little Tone X one and that. And I ended up having two of them. One on my desk at work. Don't tell work, like say one on my desk at work, and one on my desk here. And I just plug into, and it's just like this useful thing, plug my headphones in, And I just think that more and more people are using these kind of, the Tone X captor. I've got a Tone X captor over there, and it goes straight into there, and I do everything posty, and I can load in stereo if I want to. And I just think, more and more now the stereo, the headphone rig, because like you say, the benefits of running at nighttime, and when they're like millennial dads get a chance to actually play the guitars anymore, and it's when the kids are gone to bed and like,
So behind the camera here, I've got a 64 Showman head. It's like what 80 watts is it? I think in total, 4 6L6s. It's mad, huge, and that's just going straight into a Captor X. So I've got the headphone rig with the massive valve amp, and I can put my pedal board into it. But of course, that's mono. That's why I made that little switch that can like ground out half of the signal, so then it is just a mono. Because basically, I didn't want to lose half of my effects that are going through the stereo sort of chain. So all it does is just switch them in line with the mono. Nice. Yeah, it's class. But it means that you can use all of that and bang it into the front of the biggest valve amp I've ever owned, and then put that out into headphones, or even more importantly, into my camera for when I'm recording demos.
When you're recording demos, good on you too for like putting yourself on camera playing guitar, man.
I fucking hate it, mate. I can't play guitar at all.
Yeah, but still, still good on you for doing it. I mean,
the thing is, every video I was getting comments where people are saying, "You're using this." I've got a TCL Electronics, what's it called, wiretap. That a couple of lads that I know, Joe Richardson, Joe plays guitar. He's fucking awesome, and he's recorded some riffs and whatever. And I just press play on that, and then it's a good guitar tone. And I can like manipulate it. But the amount of people that say to me, "You're using something digital, it's changing the impedance on the input." Like, no, it's fucking not. Of course, I've got a pickup simulator on the end of that before it goes into the pedal. I'm not a retard, Do you know what I mean? Of course, I've thought of that. I put them in my pedals. Why would I not put one in the front end of that? But even though I know it's there, and I tell people before I do the demo and say, yes, I'm using the TCL Electronics wiretap. I have got a pickup simulator, so it's getting the right impedance. Someone always has to say it. And people were saying, it sounds better when you play. Like, fuck it. You want to hear me strangle the guitar, I'll fucking play the guitar.
There is something to be said. Like, having a lot of, I've been having a lot of fun with the pickup simulators with the new Scran. And I've been trying to match, like you say, that low Z input of Scran, trying to match the feel and whatever and the sound mainly. Like, there's something to be said for going straight in. There is. And Joe, really, even if you're bad, get good. Like, you're selling
there's only one way to get good, is to keep trying.
You need to play guitar, mate.
So I was on a 40 Watt podcast the other day, and Philip was saying, I was making my case to Philip, saying, look, I'm trying to, I want to play guitar, but I'm just not that good at it. And he was like, mate, Leo Fender didn't even play guitar. And I was like, oh, well, yeah.
I'd argue the only reason Fenders sound good is because everyone used them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's because he listened. Yeah, he listened to what people told him too. Like, he would ask their opinions. What do you need? What is this lacking? They'd tell him, and he would respond. I mean, that's,
okay. It becomes the sound that you hear on records, though, doesn't it? So whether that's good or bad, the references are earlier music that we listen to. So that's what we listen to in the past is good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
If you want Sultan to swing, try playing it not in position 4 on a Strat, like,
well, no,
whatever. Like, now, good luck.
Yeah, Leo did understand amplification. Like, that was his bread and butter. Like, amplifiers were where he cut his teeth, and so
he's a radio engineer.
Yeah,
these are the Illuminati of the electronics world, mate. The radio engineers.
The
Radio Society of Great Britain is based in Bletchley Park.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Like, yeah, man. Yeah. You can go down to when you go down Bletchley, you can go down and there's the RSGB's headquarters are there. They've got their own little hut, naturally, because it's all. I mean, it's signals, guys. It's all intelligence in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
signals,
and Marshall's based in Bletchley, aren't they?
Yeah, man. That's it. Yeah, no accidents there, man. They're everywhere, mate. Building. building pedals and that.
The radio guys are absolutely brutal on YouTube. The amount of people that tell me off for using old caps or old components is unreal. And it's all the radio guys.
Yeah, of course it is fun.
It's so like, why are you putting old components on?
That's why I go to all the radio guys to buy up all their vintage components that they've been hoarding, because they're not going to use them. They're like, oh, this is old stuff. I don't want that.
Well, that's what Philip from the podcast was saying, that he goes to like radio meets or whatever just to have a look around. Like, I never see that in the south coast of England. There's none of them here. There's car boot sales, and you know, if you want like a garden tools or something, you're in. But
go and do your calls, lad. Get your courses down, so you can do like you can do an RSG accredited course. Like, you'll smash it. Like, go get that. Like, a lot of it's just like regs and that, but you'll do a lot of circuit stuff. So you'll do a lot of stuff with like bandwidth regs and all that kind of business. And then after that, you join like a newsletter for the RSGB, and then they post out where all these radio meets are. And like,
it's basically the ham radio equivalent in the UK. Like, we call it the amateur radio, ham radio in the US. So so mate, that's where I frequent all those ham radio meetups, and that's where I get like germanium and vintage orange drops and old transformers. Like, transformers are like, whoa, what did that come out of? And it's never been installed.
Yeah, that's a good thing, but I just don't want to learn anything. Again, after I did,
I'm coach now. I'm the coach.
Yeah, I know that's it. I did my degree, mate, through the Navy, and it's like a 4-year-long marine engineering degree or whatever, and we do it in like 18 months. It's ridiculous, and I just like, I never ever want to see another lab report as long as I live. It's just ridiculous. So, because I'm a fridge engineer, it was all psychometric maths, like a Mollier chart. Like, what do I need to know that for? I don't need to work out how cold a potato will be after 2 hours in a certain fridge. The math behind that is just, it's pointless. So they have you calculating, like, if I design this fridge and make this insulation and put this amount of potatoes in it, how long is it going to take to get to whatever degrees? Like, who cares? I'm a military engineer. I'm not designing.
I tell you
somewhere there's a parody where the fate of the world is going to be decided on whether or not Joe can remember.
My job is building stuff after it's been blown up. I can do that. I don't need to know how to design it.
I absolutely love these things. So I've got to work with there's a British standard that was set in the 70s, and it's for when you're working with X-rays. It's for the voltage and the current of the X-ray that's coming from the source, like a thermionic X-ray source. So the voltage and the current, and then the dose at what distance, and it's a chart. And it was done like a lot of the in fact, we see a lot of stuff from what are they called? The Americans. They're really good at assembling. It's like the American Nuclear Institute or something like that, whatever it is. They're really good at like taking all this stuff and like charting it and put it in books, and like the British used to be back in the day, and all these standards.
CREI?
And what baffles me?
ASE, American Society of Engineers.
No, they're specifically nuclear, because it's
okay. Well, we got so many different ones like that. I'm trying to remember, like, if it's a subset. Yeah.
It'll come to me at some point. I'll just shout it out as I'm talking, but these guys are really good at it. And basically what's happened, like, in order to generate this chart, is that a bunch of fellas, like, I've also got this sign, by the way, that I got from a high pressure laboratory that was being decommissioned in my building, and I used to walk past it every day, and it said on the sign, hydrogen, no smoking. So, you're not allowed in there, right? And so I imagine like these guys just being like stood around with an X-ray source, going, "What? Set it to 2 volts. All right. What's it saying over there? Yeah, 10.
Exactly.
Right, 10. Making it a 10, and then just assembling these charts, and we look at them like it's a standard. But at some point, there's just a bunch of fellas going, stood around smoking on site.
It's my whole point of like, what did they use to make the testing equipment that we're using to test the things we're making now? It's like, was it two? It was 2 guys. Like, what you got over there? It looks like 4. All right, well, it's good enough.
That'll do. 100 years after, everyone's like, it's 4.
Yeah.
The problem is the world's moved on and technology's moved on, but the Navy.
No, it hasn't.
It's
Really
still way
No,
back
the
there.
world, Joe, the world has not moved on, and technology has not moved on.
The more things
Let me
change,
tell
the
you.
more they stay the same. Lad.
Exactly, mate.
I would say there's probably more technology in this sketchy pedal than there is in a Type 23 frigate. Joe water plant.
Let me do this. I got my whiteboard and everything, right? Sorry, right.
All right.
Yes. I really am back
The
in
tone.
school.
The tone dial, right?
Yeah.
So we were saying before, we got this like, sorry lads, right? Here we go. I'm glad you clapped. Right. So we got the 20 hertz.
I'm just gonna say this is gonna make such a good short. It's unreal. Go on.
So we got 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, yeah, right. And what we're really interested in, is this is the frequency. Now in the harmonic tremolo mode is in this mode where you can draw your two different waveforms. What we can do now is we can band off the waveforms. We can say that this is the yellow one, and then this is the blue one, right? And so when you draw the blue, this is it. Like you draw your waveform over here, and this just like the volume modulation is what you set in basically with the tremolo, right?
Yeah.
So then what would be nice is if we could determine what this frequency was, this crossover frequency X. What would be even nicer is if we could instead control like what the filter in there looks like and the filter in there looks like. Because when they get close together, we get a really nice balanced harmonic tremolo. When they get further apart, we get cone filtering and phase shifting across. So we get that univibe kind of feel, which is really nice. So what would be really good is if we could increase or decrease the separation between the two bands by controlling the kind of ramp down and the ramp like up of the two filters. So that's exactly what the tone control does. So you see a knob turning over here. So you adjust this and you see a knob turning, but actually what it's doing is adjusting not the crossover frequency specifically where the two bands are split. It's adjusting where the bottom band, like the low pass, the corner frequency, the low pass they call it, and the corner frequency, the high pass as well. It's adjusting them. So when you're all the way over to the left like this, you've got maximum separation between the two curves. So rather than looking kind of like this where they're close together, what you've got instead is a situation where the treble is coming down like this and the bass is coming down like this, and we've got this cut. And so this is moving, and that gives that univibe kind of feel. So if you want that kind of like vibe, you feel like really harmonic tremolo, whatever the words are.
Almost the Doppler effect,
the swooshy, swirly whirlies, right? That's all the way over at 7 o'clock. And if you want it nice and balanced together, now the problem is that once you cut out the swoosh, like to get the swooshy, swirly whirlies in the middle there, this is the bits that your ears are most sensitive to. So we're talking around 2 to 4K. So the perception of the volume drop is huge. Now, not just that, we're halving the duty cycle of and your ears are integrating the difference. So not only have we cut out all the middle, we've also halved the apparent volume of the thing. It's still so we need to apply a shitload of gain. Just a doubling of like volume is like it's a 0.3 to like it's a lot of gain, right?
Yeah.
So we've got the depth control. Obviously, depth is kind of standard. We've got the through control. So what the through control does is that takes the clean signal and like blends it in.
Yeah.
The clean signal's unmodulated though. So if you like want a bit of support there in the mids because you cut them all out for the swooshy, swirly whirlies, you want that bit of support to carry it through the mix. The through will bring it into some in mixer. It's not a clean like wet dry effect. And then the level, of course, we've got the level at the end there, and that sets the overall. I just sets the overall output. So then if you want to save this setting, by the way, Joe, just for your settings,
this is the bit that I need to pay attention to.
Right, if you want to save this, the left one, the left wheel. Yeah. Press and hold that. That light will flash.
Yeah.
And that's set and saved. And now when you power off the pedals, and if you pop it out again, if we pop that back in, the point where you saved it is where it takes off again from. So there we go. Now the nice thing is that anything else we adjust earlier. So let's just say we adjust now to let's just say pow, I got you. Right. So let's have that one. Then let's go to back to Joe, and we save Joe. Now it'll launch off at Joe again.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Let's have a look. What we should find is it also saves POW. There we go.
Oh man.
Oh, nice.
So it'll save when you click save, it saves every adjustment that you're doing. Again, if we think about it like a table and everything's looking at the table. You've adjusted the value. The table isn't just one row; it's 32 rows because there's 32 banks, and each one of them's got a number in the row. As you adjust all of them, when you click save, you save the whole. It's called a 2D array. You save the whole array. You commit that to memory. So everything you adjust has just been committed, and then the bank is saved in a separate cell, like in the array. The previous bank is saved there, and so when it starts up again, it looks at that, sees where you were, and then you launch off from there, and it loads that array. So not only can you set the separate like bands between the treble and the bass, like amplitude modulation. I don't really know how to describe these things. Sorry. You've banded them off for the harmonic tremolo like mode. You can now also the separation between them to generate like different types of harmonic tremolo, I suppose.
This is going to be so awesome to integrate into this, because obviously I've got like the gain going in both halves and then modulation on one half, and I'm thinking I might put this on the half that hasn't got modulation, so it'll be like, I don't know, chorus and flanger one side and then this the other side. Both halves go into the stereo reverb and then come out stereo. And right now I've got my V40 and a Filmo sound amp, and put them two together with like harmonic tremor on one side, flanger on the other, drive going into both. That's going to be fucking...
If you did want to run it into the signal, into the line, like the effects loop or whatever, the signal's line level rather than signal level, it'll handle both, no problem. There's a little internal trimmer, so if you're running like a synthesizer into it, that runs a different so it's set at the minute for single coils, but if you find that it's clipping at all, just dial that back a little bit. Just get your little screwdriver, dial that back, and then in the harmonic tremolo, if you find it's not wompy enough in the bottom end, people love that. Like if you get it all like swooshy wooshy and you want the wompy at the bottom as well, you can just adjust that bass from there.
Swooshy wooshy, wompy bumpy.
Then you can turn the bass up there like that, and that'll increase the bass mix on the harmonic tremolo. For more wompy womp.
It sounds class as it is. I'm just thinking with the stereo reverb going and this in one amp, it gives you like, it's weird. It adds a bit of space because it's much like the through. You've got like a clean reference on one side, and then
it's a summed clean reference. So the through is summing with what you've done with the tremolo, so it adds to it rather than like being a separate.
They're both the same,
like I say,
they're both the same amplitude or whatever. Is that what? So it's kind of just adds the two signals together rather than having two distinct signal like that. It makes
it's
a summon amplifier. From the synth guys, they love it. It's a summon amplifier. Yeah, so it's that's the Sketchy, like the tech of the Sketchy. And then in terms of like, it's all, like you say, it's all C++, it's all arrays and it's all pointers, and the hardware is just looking at that. And there's, right. I'm just gonna, when you get into your coding, if you're ever like doing anything like that, like you should figure out what coding language you want to use based on the zen of the code. So, for example, Joe, you might not be. You're a mechanical engineer. I reckon C++ is your code. But if you're not a mechanical engineer, you're not thinking mechanistically, and you haven't got the zen of how this thing works. There's like a code. There's like a zen that goes with the code, and the code you need to be of the zen to work the code well. Otherwise, it gets very difficult.
I'm of this vintage, so.
Oh, look at that! That's delicious. Yes, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm just like, yeah, that's the shit.
I do. Everything relates to mechanics for me, mate. Honestly, everything. A resistor is just a flow restrictor. A fucking,
a capacitor is a frequency sensitive flow resistor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just think of that as an accumulator.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? And then a diode is a non-return valve.
That makes sense. With the accumulation. Yeah. Wow.
Did I ever tell you about? Did I ever tell you about? There's a friend of mine. Is a PhD engineer, and he built a pump that would pump water from deep underground wells using a solar panel. So the typical thing with water is, to spin it and fling it. So what he did was he used a vessel filled with compressed, like a balls that could compress, push the water into it, and then had a valve after it. And so he'd pump. And so all you got to do is get past the first one into the next one. And because you can't compress the water, as you added more water at the bottom, it went into the top. And he built a charge pump using the hydraulic application, like the water analogy from GCSE, whatever, electronics. Built that mechanically and made a pump that could pump well from, like, literally there was no limit to how deep you could go, because all you've got to do is have enough power to get over the first hurdle, and then after that it's that same amount of power every time. Like, and he that's how he got his PhD. Like, and he's and his name, right, get this, man, his name, right, he married Lucy Stiles, who was backing vocalist for the Arctic Monkeys. She was Mike Leckie. You know, Motor Museum, Mike Leckie, who discovered the 1975 and that. She was the in-house backing vocalist at Motor Museum. He married her, and his name was Neil Davis, right? And so his name, he hyphenated it. His name is Styles Davis.
Oh,
fucking legend,
dude!
Neil
He
Styles
is
Davis.
Yeah. Okay. As soon as you said that, I'm like, I recognize it. Like in the physics world, like people were like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Like, why haven't we been doing this before?"
Yeah, he's my mate. Yeah, he works at the.
Wow.
He used to work at the uni with me, and now he works in I think he works in a biscuit factory now. That you would not believe. Like making biscuits. Then next time you open a pack of custard cream, so right, have a look at that and think, have they done that? Right. Even better, right? Open a pack of party rings and have a look at one of them and say to yourself, have they done that? Then get 10 of them out, line them up, and go, have they done that? Get 10 packs of them, open them up, line them up, and go, have they done this? And I tell you, right, it's an NDA. Can't tell you how they did that. And it's more secure than anything I've ever seen. Getting to that secret is more secure than anything I've ever done. And I know your boys. I know your underwater boys. You know what I mean? Like,
mate. So in the engineering school that I teach now, there's a few buildings that I'm not allowed in because obviously it's where all the nuclear school is, and it's all secure as fuck, but it's run by the biggest alcoholics in the Navy, which is the funniest thing.
We used to call the pub the office. We had a radiation protection advisor, and he was like, he had medals, he had a formal suit. He was like the head of the RPA, Professor Pete Cole. You can look him up. Absolute legend in the industry. And he used to call the office. He used to call the Cambridge, and the Augustus John. That was the office. The Augustus John. That's how stuff gets done. Like, that's how everything works.
It's just how the sausage is made. Unfortunately, it's like they just don't want to. They just don't want to admit it. Is what it is.
Yeah,
I managed to get like an audience with the top brass. So we have like the Fair Sea Lord, Sir Ben Keys, his name is. So he's gold upon gold upon gold, and over a series of events, he come on my ship to give me an award, and there's this meal and all this bullshit. And there's a moment of clarity where, in the middle of COVID, he said to me, "Chief, how do we fix the Navy? Just tell me." I said, "Keep him stupid, keep him drunk." And he was like, "Run that past me again." Right? Okay, we're getting these young lads, we're giving them degrees, like engineering degrees, and then we're then giving them the means to leave the Navy by giving them a degree, and then obviously we're then empowering them to leave. Oh, you're having the same snags as me. Is that the kids? Is it by any chance?
Fucking cats, mate.
I heard something howling. I was like,
what's this?
Not like Marcus Reeves. You got attacked by his cat.
Oh yeah, that was class. We've got cicadas here. We've got cicadas here that sound like security alarms right now. Like we've got the orange and black and yellow cicadas, and they have bloomed. I mean, there's probably 1,000 per like square meter in some areas. It's ridiculous. And they sound like somebody has broken into a building and the building alarm is going off whenever they're calling. They don't sound like normal cicadas. They're like some, rare form. And the squirrels are eating them. We're seeing squirrels seeing squirrels sitting on the fence, like eating cicadas and like ignoring the bread that we're putting out for them.
Wow.
There's more wildlife down here than I've ever seen. I'm from Liverland, brutal area.
You Liverland, yeah?
Yeah, there's no like wildlife and stuff there. When I grew up, like
except for you.
Yeah, you were
there's plenty enough wildlife for the people in Dublin. I'd tell me.
I always say this, like I think I'm posh now because there's a tree in the street. And when I was a kid, it's like, do their mum and dad have a car? And is there a tree in the street? Well, they're posh. Clearly they are. Because I remember the backyard and your front door steps out onto the street, you know what I mean? That's like where I'm from. So any sort of wildlife, mate, I'm like, posh.
Well, I'm in West Derby, lad. I'm up at
oh fucking hell.
Yeah, lad, that's it. Living with all the hairdressers and that, and the beauticians and that. Like, it's a lot of Chelsea wagons up this way.
I lived in Strawberry Road in Norris Green for like 6 years as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, mate. I've been. I wouldn't change it for the world. I prefer it down south though. Definitely.
Do you?
Yeah. Apart from the house prices, mate. It costs so much to live down here. It's ridiculous. Mate.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like we're still doing all right. I think West Derby's like so we're in the Crocky Park estate. You know the one off Oak Lane. The big, it's like kind of built in the 90s kind of job. So we're just on the, we're in Croxteth Park. We were in Canny Farm, lad, when it was a bit, it was, we moved because my wife was, she was pregnant with number 2. She was like 3 months pregnant and some fella got shot on the grass outside our house. It was like a little drive by, like, and she was like, I was like, well, you know, lightning doesn't strike twice. I mean, yeah, you know, it's like I'm quite used to that. But she's from Yorkshire, like she's from Garforth. It's really like really nice part of the world, you know. And she was like, we are moving. So like,
like okay, yeah, I get it. Like, all my cousins come down and visit, and the first time they live and speak, and the first time they come down, he said, "When was the last time anyone was shot?" And I was like, "Never." They're like, oh, kids, go out and play. Don't worry, take your phone. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's nice. It's quite nice, right? It's safe. I actually left my garage open, and I've got like a lecky bike. Don't want to be like the old stereotype and tell you I've got a Sur on, like, but I've got a lecky bike in my garage, and I ride to work on it. Just move me legs when I see the busies. All right, wait, how's it going? So like, and I left the garage open a few weeks ago, and I came out in the morning, and my bike was still there. That's just odd to me. I'm expecting to pay a heavy price for that kind of behavior. But, it's nice around here, like, really nice.
I was spoiled growing up in the area that I grew up in because like we never locked our doors. Like, you know, it wasn't uncommon for you to like leave your car unlocked with the windows down and anything valuable in it. Nobody was going to mess with it. And the first time it started happening, I'm like, what's wrong with people? And they're like, what's wrong with you? Have you, like, where did you live? It's like, oh, I must have lived in like some little shire somewhere where I was not aware of the ways of Sauron.
It took me an adjustment to get used to down here. When I first met my wife, I'd be traveling back weekend from the Navy, and her mum would leave the key in the door to let me in. So there's just be the door key in the front of the door.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh, you worried someone's going to come in?" They're like, "No, we got a dog." Like, can he put out fires? I don't understand. Like, what are you talking But it's like a different way of life.
Yeah. It was a different times too. Yeah.
Where are you? Portsmouth, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Gosport. Yeah.
Gosport. I know Gosport. Yeah.
It's everyone around here thinks where I live is like the shithole area, but it's the nicest place I've ever lived, mate. Honestly,
is it? Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's
you used to have an auntie. You lived in Havant.
Oh yeah, no, Havant. Yeah. So there's some rough areas down that way. When I'm thinking Waterlooville down that way is pretty rough, but Portsmouth is nothing compared to Liverpool. Like nothing. It's a different kettle of fish.
They say like all the before the Albanians, like all the organized crime was just dominated across the UK by Scousers. Like,
I know
you've got it because everywhere else has got it so nice. I know. Like, these lads come in like 2 dogs and that. Like,
so I've got my best man at my wedding's a lad from Wales, Paolo. His name is he's married to a Scouser, and like she's from Huyton. Funny enough.
Yeah, no 36 massive.
And he's like, she wants to move back to Highton, obviously, right? Because they're leaving the Navy. What? He's like, they're fucking nuts. Everyone's nuts. He said, you go out at 7 o'clock in the morning and they're all like out the back of the off license trying to rob crates off them while they're restocking and stuff. He said, there's just like, it's just carnage up there. So I don't know. I know. When I was a kid, mate, I remember there's this girl in my primary school. Her mum moved and she had to move to Highton, and we were all like, "Oh, I'm really sorry." I'm walking. We used to get like the Buster Crosby, and we thought they were posh, and now I'm thinking it's not that nice.
Canny Farm, mate. I'm like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I went from Shield Road to Canny Farm. The Shield Road, John's the red light district, and it's and it's right, and it's in Kenny, Kensington. It sounds nice. Yeah. It's not. Like, it's really not. Like, and it's like, and I was just off there, just on Newsham Park on Judge's Drive. I was on there, like, and man, some of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, and then I went to Canny Farm, and I was happy. I was like, this is sound. Everyone's just getting on. Like, it's all right. And then some fella got shot, so the missus, she made us move. Like, so from York, she's from like the really nice greeny parts and that, you know.
Yeah. So my missus didn't know what a baghead was when I met her. She just didn't understand the concept. It was alien to her. And the first time she drove to Liverpool, we were going to my mum's, and she slowed down to let these kids cross the road. You know, like the chances who try and go. And as she slowed down, we went past, like as if giving her one, and she was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, normally people try and run them over when they do that. Don't slow down for them.
Yeah. Don't. Like, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Like, you get in trouble for being polite. Yeah. So like, say a bunch of lads. Say to like part out the way, like, you know, they're all standing like in like an alleyway or whatever. Like, say they're all there and they're all having a smoke and whatever, and they're all like got the odds up and that. And if you walk past them, if you say like, "Cheers, lads," like, "Thanks for moving out the way," they'll give you shit.
They take that as an affront. Like, it's a pissing contest.
Mean,
it's a pissing contest between people, is what happens. It's like,
but if you walk up strong like that, they move out the way, and you're like, "Yeah, it is right. Get out the way, you knobheads." They're like, "Sound." And then you go out in the world, and I'm working at a university, do you know what I mean? And you go out in the world, it's like all the lads are professors and that. You're like, "Oh, okay." Then you're trying to, you know, like a good way, what your mum said and that, and you know, like, why you're still alive, and you know that these are two different things. And like, so you're trying to like, all right. Hello. It's
the paradox of everything, man. It's like everything is true and untrue at the same time. It's like, you know.
Right. Honestly, on that podcast I just did, I was trying to like recount my early years before I joined the Navy, and you never think about this stuff, do you? And so I was saying that when I joined the Navy, I'd never owned a pair of jeans. So like, I remember my dad taking me 17 years old and buying me a pair of Levi's because it was all tracksuit bottoms. That was like the gangster,
the uniform
as a kid. Mm-hmm. And so I remember I'd get the train home with all my Navy mates having a few beers or whatever. And as we're getting closer to Liverpool and more people get off the train, round about Wolverhampton, I'd go in the toilet and get changed because I didn't want to walk from the train station to my house wearing jeans. Because I was like,
yeah.
Someone's going to try and rob me thinking I got a few quid, thinking I'm a boss boy or whatever. So I put my Lacoste tracky on. And walk
your Lacoste and your 110s on, like, you go.
So no one knew that I was like, I had a proper job or whatever. Yeah.
One of our lads is from Liverland, one of our lads, and he was saying like, his first day he walked into the lab. He's just got his he's just got his PhD this year. And he's off. And he walked into the lab with like a fresh-faced 18-year-old. Walks in and he's got his 110s on and his trackie and that, like, North, you know, the all black North Face and that. Yeah. And he walked in and I just looked at him dead in the eyes and went, "All right, la," like that. No, just set him off guard a little bit, like, like. You need to tone that down, mate. Coming in with your 110s on and that, like, it's not like, get changed on the bus, lad. I know, but like, don't do that here, people will think you're a knobhead.
Yeah.
All these posh kids in here, they don't understand. They go because we're in a Russell Group University, which is like the this is the Ivy League for the UK, you know.
Yeah.
And we don't
Oxford,
really
Cambridge, you know, like
Liverpool's like Liverpool has
yep.
the biggest nuclear group in the UK. We are, like you say, we're the ones that built CERN. Like we're not messing around. But if you look,
didn't Roger May go to Liverpool? Didn't he get his PhD in astrophysics from Liverpool?
Roger Mayer.
Or
Brian May.
Brian May.
Brian May.
Why did I say Roger May?
I don't know, but I was going to say I got excited. Then
I just took two names and mashed them together. I took Roger and May.
So. He may have graduated. We've got an astrophysics.
I thought, Brian May got his PhD in astrophysics, and I thought he got it from Liverpool, but I might be wrong.
I don't know.
Oh, Imperial College, but he's the Chancellor of Liverpool John Moores University, apparently. And they've got John Moores. They've got the biggest robotic telescope in the world. It's in it.
Yeah, I knew that he had something to do with Liverpool University somewhere.
Yeah, man.
But his thesis was that we all came from star particles, like every bit of matter.
The old
in the universe.
Sagan.
Yeah,
you are stardust.
We are stardust. Like he proved it. Supposedly, that was his thesis. Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing to do.
He's such a talented guy, isn't he? I mean, you're coming from rock music or like guitar music through to he's actually a physicist.
Well, he built his guitar out of the mantelpiece. I mean, you know, he took the mantelpiece off the fireplace and built his first guitar. So,
if you sit there and tell me now that Einstein's theory of relativity or the idea that we're made of stardust is less poetic because it was scientific than the lyrics to Stairway to Heaven, then me and you're gonna have an argument.
Exactly.
Because some of the greatest minds of our generations, like again and again and again, have made like it's the subjectivity of objectivity. The models by which we base all of our measurements on were invented and imagined by somebody who was like just thinking about stuff like, well, I wonder if it were, because science starts with a guess. You have to disprove the guess after that.
It's all the weirdos that make the discoveries. I mean, you know, without the weirdos like us, like who's gonna like think, what if?
People split it. You say like, oh, are you right brained or left brained? Like, fuck off.
I'm both brained.
Like you telling me now, like you telling me that, like, you know, because I know electronics or whatever. You tell me this isn't like.
That's a work of art.
Do you know what I mean? This is it, man.
Exactly.
Like this is why I go with the holistic thing. See the little beans on toast, the thing. Like, you know, I'm always trying to like the little. I don't know.
It's the subtle nuances. Yeah, the labels. Yeah. I hate labels.
Yeah, man.
I hate people labeling me. That's for sure.
I'm going to be honest, mate. I'm the ultimate label. I don't have a brain. I'm a Royal Navy mechanical engineer. I joined that. I got put there because I was stupid. You know what I mean? There is no brain involved.
Behave yourself.
You whack it with a hammer harder. I'll make it work. There's no brains involved. They just do.
and here we are talking to you,
mate. It's
on the Hello Sailor podcast because you've got to come up with something and a logo.
Because one of his
and that's because it's all about making it happen, failing fast. Like do something, fail, figure out why you failed, repeat, and go again. It's not like I've got a guy that I served with not long ago. His nickname's Scadders, and he's a fucking computer, mate. He works in ones and zeros. He's got no personality. No, that's harsh. Not no personality. He's got no like you couldn't have you couldn't have a conversation with him because he's all ones and zeros. But if you need to work out a problem, you can deploy him like a computer. He's a clever guy.
He's a he's a force multiplier in that way. Mate, like here, go.
he will be able to think about a problem in such a weird way and come out with the right answer that you can't even. I'm a guy that needs to know why. So if you tell me that this thing does a thing and that's why this whole subject works, you've just got to believe this one thing. I can't do it. I need to know why that thing is the way it is. But when it comes to this guy, I'm just like, I don't want to follow your thought process. Just tell me what the answer is, and I'm happy with it. He's a clever guy. I'm a guy that likes to try stuff. It fails, and then I figure out why it fails and try something else.
If you ask why enough times, you'll get to a point where somebody goes, "It just does," and at that point, that's where within the model or the framework, like that we're operating within, there's a series like of inherent assumptions within that. And when you say why to a sufficient like resolution, you arrive at one of these points where we've made an assumption and it works with under these specific conditions. And then there's other conditions where it doesn't. And there's a point where you say nobody knows. And then people on the nobody knows. Because people always ask me, like, you're gonna be doing pedals, like you're gonna go full time and that. So I get this question like all the time from people. And it's just no, because that point there, if you ask why enough times, that point where nobody knows, all my mates are the people finding out and reducing that level every time. The point where nobody knows, that's where they are every time. And these people are like top draw, like physicists, and they are no more weird than an average guy. In fact, when you're floating around Liverpool, they're walking past you doing stupid shit like wiping dog shit off their shoes because they stepped in it. They're like, after they've wiped their shit off their shoes, they're getting in my lap. Do you know what I mean? They're not like some ethereal presence that's like floating. Everybody else is walking and they're just floating. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're not normal or they don't go to Greg's or whatever. You know, they're here, they're doing it, and they've just committed themselves to like asking that question and that point. And that point of to why requires some level of invention, to the point where you've got to come up with some new thinking is here needed, because if all the old ways of thinking has worked, there wouldn't be a problem. So in order to be here at that point, you need to think differently, and that is creative. And anyone that tells me like that they think about the why and the do, and they make something new that's never been seen before, and they take something out of their head and put it in their hands, regardless of what it is, whether it's a pedal or a podcast or an idea or a new whatever it is, it doesn't matter. That is an act of creation in and of itself, and you are
here
supreme. Yeah, man.
I'll
Yes,
do that. I like the idea of that. What I mean is, though, so I've got friends, and much like Simon, who are instantly talented at a thing. Like, they are very, very noticeably creative. So for example, if you look at someone like Chris Buck on the guitar, unbelievable technique, really creative, or you look at certain artists, and I've never been able to draw. I've never been able to like write beautiful words, that sort of thing, creative wise. Never. However, what I can do is find a problem and work the problem until it's fixed. That's where my engineering comes from. I have this thing with my lads in work. I always get, I can't do it, chief. Like, yes, you can. We're stuck out at sea. No one else is coming to fix it. For example, this radar's broke. If we don't get it working, we're fucked. You know what I mean?
You got tenacity is what you got.
Yeah.
I mean,
so tenacity.
But the generation now is so easy just to go, I can't do it. Instantly, like, unscrew that. Oh, I can't do it. And you end up doing a lot of stuff yourself. And I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. So I have this little thing.
Yeah, make them.
I sit them down and I say, if I stuck a pistol in your mum's mouth now and said, fix that, figure it out, or I'm going to blow her brains out, would you be able to do it? And they're all like, of course I could, chief. Right, now go and do it.
Crack on then.
And I hold myself to the same standard, because there's a point in especially in the Navy where you realize, there's 60 people in my department, and that is it. There's no one else coming. There's no hand of God. There's no government agent or engineer that you can phone up that's coming to fix this thing. If you don't fix it, it's just fucked. So you've got to figure it out. And that's how I approach pedals as well. Like that Timmy pedal, the old Joe would have just picked that up and fucking put it in the bin. I wanted to so bad. I was like, oh, this is a problem, and I'm going to find out why it's fucked. I'm not.
By the gods, I'll make it work.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. It's going to be me or that pedal. It's like, my wife was getting really annoyed. She's like, you're spending a lot of time working, but you're not really making anything new. Like, no, I'm not. And it was getting annoying. It's like,
I could potentially be dropping out of the feed at any moment. I got the low battery 10% this time, like a few minutes ago. So if I completely drop out, that's why.
Should we just call it? I'm happy to call it, Joe.
I want to talk forever, but we can call it.
Of course.
I mean, yeah. If you guys want to keep chatting too, like,
on that creative note, mate, of just overcome, fail fast, and then try something else.
Do the thing that your brain wants to do. Just do it. And
around, over, under, or through. That's my motto.
So for me,
just get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
whip
it. Good.
And the last thing that everyone needs to do is go and buy one of them. I'm telling you now.
Yes, that's
you
another
really
thing you should do.
This is the pedal that you need. Don't go and buy one of my pedals because you all own them. Definitely get one of them and you won't be sorry. The only problem is my board's fucking full and now I've got to pull it all off and fucking rewire it, which I'm not looking forward to. But
the tone's there though, isn't it, Joe? The tone's there, isn't it? Like booty guide, the tone's there, yeah.
The tone's there, mate.
All right, we could have done this podcast in about 30 seconds, mate, because I'd have been happy with that.
The unboxing experience was like something like that I haven't experienced since I was a kid on Christmas. You know, when you're opening a toy, it was honestly unbelievable.
That's it. Like
anyway,
cost me loads of money to do that. Yeah, man.
See you later.
All right. Cheers,
everyone. Cheers, John. Cheers, Joe. See you in a bit, lads.